That's a battle for position. That's for the lead. They've run down long finally. They have finally caught him up, and this allows the 48 to finally get into it. And he is going to take the advantage of the chance. He is going to get by Acosta. Is he also going to be able to get by the lead? It looks like he might be able to get two positions as one. He gets a hello from the 5 behind. No wreck, though. Just a little bit of contact. The bumping and rubbing might actually shove Octavio Rondeletto back to the lead for the first time in some time. And indeed, Octavio to the point. Big wreck and Marty and more cars. It looks like John Keefe is in there and Gabbiani is carrying him. Literally carrying him.
Car 19's got a new hat. I wouldn't expect to be a Marlboro branded hat, but there you go. Unfortunately, John Keefe having to be a passenger all the way, literally, through that entire incident. That is worthy of a replay right there.
He got himself a cowboy hat. Bradley Hawley not defending. He's going to leave the door open. Michael Michaud is going to try and take it. He sends it in deep. Will they make contact or are they going to keep it clean? They're going to keep just enough space between them. And for the second lap in a row, Hawley is able to hold his nose ahead.
Able to hold his nose ahead, and he knows that the advantage is now going to switch back to him through Rauch. That is Michaud trying to carry that momentum around the high side. Isn't able to do so. Dives back in the line, looking for a little bit of a crossover there. Starts to get his nose down to the inside into Wirth. He's going to go for the maneuver. Hawley, able to hold it out, but he may run wide here at the exit. Will that give an advantage back? No, but it will give it back to Boucher, who's now able to make the move on Michaud. A little bit of a look there from Parton, and that's just him trying to poke his nose, see if he can get any sort of a head fake, and he got one.
He goes a little bit wide, sent it in deep. He's got the inside into the second corner, though, is Partonen could be able to complete the pass. He tries to pinch him down, but gives him a fair bit of space. The battle continues down into turn 3. He's on the inside. They're going to bang wheels. They come together. He knocks him back straight, but Partonen is now your leader. Here comes Glover up the inside, down through the final turn and onto the front stretch, almost pushing him off the track. He has to slow up. We're going to go 3 wide as to the inside of both of them. Bergstrom says, thank you very much. I am going to snatch up P7 with that.
Oh, here comes Nicholson. He's going to look around the outside, going through that first sector. Has to look for the crossover now. He's going to go down to the inside.
It continues into turn 3. They go wheel to wheel. Track switches back. He's actually got a nose ahead, but just no grip on the marbles. Almost goes out into the grass, but he's holding on just barely. After a year-long schedule, many of the championships have been wrapped up. However, there are some yet to be decided. And for others, gaining every last position they can means the world to them. Tonight offers the last chance to make your mark, and we travel all the way across the Pacific to a storied Japanese venue for them to decide their fate. Will anyone be able to make the difference? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the Majors Indy Japan 300, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Adam Lindgren and DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Twin Ring Motegi has seen big names and historic moments in Victory Lane. To understand what the circuit is about, let's head to our track guide.
Welcome to the Oval at the Twin Ring Motegi. Let's get a common misconception out of the way. While damaged in the earthquake of 2011, it has been repaired and would need very little done to see major racing action today. Got it? Great. But one thing is true, it doesn't get used that much nowadays, so it's great to have it here in the virtual world. In American terms, you can probably best compare this track to Gateway or Darlington in that it's egg-shaped. While both sides of the track are banked at 10 degrees, the difference is in the radius. Turns 1 and 2 are open, wide, and sweeping. Most high downforce cars will be able to take this flat out. The backstretch is also nice and wide, bringing with it plenty of side-by-side action. Turns 3 and 4, things narrow up a bit. In addition, the turn is much tighter, so you're giving the brakes a bit more of a workout here. And that opens up to a decently wide front stretch that the only challenge will be that wall on the exit of 4. Having been around since 1997, we've actually seen some history around this 1.549 mile, 2.5 kilometer track. The late down Weldon got Honda's first win here, and Danica Patrick became the first woman to win an IndyCar race here. The NASCAR Cup Series made the then annual Japanese Expedition race here in 1998. That was the first race Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Dale Earnhardt Jr. raced together on, and a NASCAR West Series points race was actually ran here in 1999. Who can take the checkered flag today at Japan's premier oval? Let's find out on GSRC.
Well, Adam, I love that they've brought the old Indy cars here. Definitely feels like a throwback this evening. But what's it going to be like to try and race these things around here?
Well, Joe, I mean, this place has been closed since 2011 due to the major earthquake in the region, but the Twin Ring Motegi Superspeedway is a 1.55 mile, 2.49 oval, inspired by such tracks as Darlington and Charlotte. And with that, we get 10 degrees of banking, and it's two very unevenly set up sides of the circuit. Adding to the challenge of, in my opinion, the hardest oval on iRacing, the drivers will also be tackling the Dalara Indycar Circuit 2011, a very challenging, tight-to-snap-loose machine known for its high downforce and drag. These drivers will be flying through turns 1 and 2 in the very early laps, wide open, but 3 and 4 are the bane of these drivers and their crew chiefs in their setup creation. This challenging set of turns bogs down the drivers, some all the way down to third gear during the middle of a run, before they try and rein in their horses and launch off towards the start-finish line. Add to that the challenge of managing the weight jacker, which DJ and I will get into a bit later, and you've got a recipe for a beast of a final round, Joe.
Certainly will keep everybody on their toes and will be a real test. And as we talked about last round, our championship has, of course, been wrapped up for the top spot in the pro drivers. Christian Challenger is once again your champion for the third season and for the second time as the America's champion. Now, Andrew Waring, Justin Morton, Joshua Chin, and Travis Worling, along with Kevin Hill, are all in the hunt for second place. You can see how tightly that is packed together. It may come down to who finishes where on the track today to decide who gets that second spot, because any one of them could definitely have it. However, we, of course, have the team's championship, DJ, and how's that sitting?
Well, just like that, the Pro Drivers Championship, the Team Drivers Championship is pretty well decided up at the top with Forge Racing Pro, 181 points, an unassailable gap forward there for them, but a relatively tight battle with Kinetic America's Pro 2 and Evolve Sim Sports sitting just about 14 points away from each other. Don't discount Dog Bear Red. If they take a surprise win or two here, they could find themselves climbing up on the order. Sitting back in an island of their own a little bit, though, is Kinetic Pro's Kinetic Pro. Let me try that again. Kinetic America's Pro 1. But the only problem with that is they're actually tied with UDOC's Lola. So a very, very tight battle. We'll have to keep an eye on those two as well to see who gets that fifth spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have the American Legends as well. And this one, I mean, it's still open. The door's still a little open for Kevin Hill and Brian Barnes. But that being said, it would have to be a win and a win for Barnes and a DNF for Hill. So we could pretty much seal that one up for Kevin Hill as far as winning the Legends standings. But Brian Barnes and Wayne Hutchison still separated by 11 points. That is still a little up for grabs there, depending on if one of them has a bad day. And then Brian McGreevy down in fourth, and Jimbo Pfeiffer, both of them are solidly locked into their positions. So it really is, for that second position, still up for grabs in the Legends.
And of course, if we go off to the Sportsman here, it is Ozzie Milwayne, who is about 20 points ahead. They're, of course, racing at the same time down in the Sportsman class here simultaneously. So we'll try and find out what happens on that one post-race and keep you up to speed on that, because that is still just as important to those drivers. DJ, however, race details for today, a bit of a unique event. What are the drivers facing off with?
Well, they're going to have 200 laps around this speedway. That's right, 200, and it is 300 miles. That's how that math works out for everybody. As we said, they're racing the old school Dalara IRO 5s. There's a 25 incident limit around here. I don't really anticipate that getting into, because if you catch the wall here at Motegi, get a little tap, it's going to upset these open wheel machines. They do, however, have a fast repair, and so that could come very, very crucial. And the other part to keep in mind, 10 total tire sets for the entire stint of the race.
Yeah, I wonder if that will cause a little bit of trepidation on when and how they pit on this one as we let the warm-up continue to round down. We are getting ready to go racing as they've already qualified, so this is just the last bits of practice. And we saw Mark Stevenson there on screen have a big wobble off of turn 4. From what we saw in the European race earlier and what we've been hearing from the drivers, Adam, it sounds like it's going to be diabolical trying to keep this thing pointed forward at the second half of the course.
Absolutely. Turns 3 and 4 are really, really challenging. We saw quite a few spins off of 4 in the international region as well. So quite a few drivers really struggling to keep these cars on track. And you cannot underestimate the aero wash either from coming off the back of the wings, as we're taking a look at Ryan Steele and Chris Tito as they're simulating a battle in the closing moments of this warm-up as well.
Yeah, probably important to be able to do that and really handle how they're going to act in all the buffeting air, because it's going to be very different to what it's like when you're running on your own. And with 26 cars out here, there's only so many places that you can hide. Before we go racing, though, we want to mention our charity for this one, and that is Fishing with Vets, which is a nonprofit organization with a mission to provide veterans, both active and retired, with an opportunity to fish some of the Midwest premier fishing destinations. The veterans are paired up with guides who are some of the Midwest's best fishermen and women, and the main goal of their events is to create lifelong memories and friendships for the veterans. To those who served, to those still serving, find out more at fishingwithvets.com. So we now tick down to 0, and that takes us to our starting grid for our season finale in 2021 for the majors, the Majors Indy Japan 300. And James Walker is on the pole. It is Justin Morton who starts next to him, and Josh Chin, known for being very good in these open wheelers, will start from 3rd. Mark Stevenson will be 4th, and Travis Worling in 5th. And it's Rob Powers, P6 today. Steve Driscoll starts 7th, and Adam Haleck on the outside of that row. And row 5, it'll be Andrew Waring, flanked by Liam Quinn. Adam?
Chris Tito's going to start off in 11th position with Wayne Hutchison alongside him in row 6. Row 7 is Jeff Schmeier with Kevin Hill alongside him. Then we got 15th, Nick Kuhn and Eric Smith in the 16th position. Lynn Kenchlow is going to start off row 9 with Brian McGreevy to his outside, and Brian Barnes and Christian Challoner round out your top 20.
Ryan Steele will be lining up at 21st, followed by Justin Kirby with Jason Wallet and Jason Enrique behind them. Aaron Roofs is 25th, and bring up backfield in 26th, it'll be Andrew Wood.
Looks like we just about have everybody out. We'll get one pace lap and we'll get rolling. Some big names I mentioned earlier have won at this place, and obviously perhaps the most well-known one is Danica Patrick, because we already have an incident. Oh my goodness. And that is Mark Stevenson, who has goosed it too hard and sent himself into the wall. He did touch it.
He hit it hard.
I hope he's not too damaged. It looks like the wing is a little bit borked. Oh, no.
This could be a big issue if he starts the race like this. He could absolutely end up in the outside wall. That's major aerodynamic damage. Hopefully it's not going to affect him too much on the start here.
He's going to have to hope for very quick yellow on this thing so that he can get that replaced. Wow, dramatic developments almost immediately. As I was saying, Danica Patrick won here to become the only woman to have ever won an IndyCar race. And also, another name that I think will ring a bell for IndyCar fans is Dan Weldon, won here twice. So, obviously, he is a a bit of a bittersweet memory for IndyCar, but hopefully we can pay great homage to him as we get ready to go green. And up at the front, James Walker takes the green flag, and he is on his way in that number 97 as we head down into turn one. What is Mark Stevenson going to be like with that car all banged up on the nose?
It's not too bad out there for the start of this race, but it's still side by side between Justin Morton and Josh Chin. Remember, they're racing for that second position in the points, and they have the best starting position to be able to battle for that spot. Right now, Justin Morton able to clear Josh Chin. He's carrying a lot of speed into the corner, gets tucked in right behind James Walker as they decelerate, now accelerate out of the final corner. But look at this, Josh Chin with a great run on the bottom side for the open wheel legend.
Chin wants this one, and as he gets down underneath of both of them, he is actually going to take the lead away. I've heard there's a bump down on the bottom there, and it looks like it doesn't bother him too much, but he is now your new leader.
He is indeed, and yes, Joe, you are correct. There is a little bump just about at the crossover point between turns 1 and 2, and especially in the lower downforce settings of these IR05s, it can definitely unsettle you. Whoa, you can see there in the back of the field, just an absolute flock of Hornets as we've got a little bit of a crossover there. Morton going to be able to slot into P2 in front of his teammate, James Walker.
Mark Stevenson is down on pit lane. He cannot live with the damage on that car, it looks like. And already Chin is distancing himself. There is Stevenson. I think we've got an opportunity to actually take a look at that opening incident because it sounds like we have a replay spooled.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to take a look at that because this is a very interesting moment. I think it's just coming up the transition, actually, coming up off of the corner. There we see the aftermath of this incident. Just happens a couple of seconds before that, but there, so we see him right here going very smoothly. Then he just gooses it. And you can see, yeah, he just loses the back end a little bit right there, Joe.
I feel like some people may have forgotten that this is the old school IndyCar, which was pretty beastly with its power, and they had cold tires on a banked corner. So yeah, he just got a little ambitious with that throttle, and he paid dearly, as now it looks like Travis Worling just took third place from James Walker.
Yeah, he did indeed. So Worling on a little bit of a charge here, but look at that gap that Chin is already developing. It's almost up to a full second. Now, because of how fast these cars are going around here, 199, 200 miles an hour, there is going to be a massive tow of about a second and a half that they'll be able to keep up to.
Already Worling now taking second place over Morton. So it looks like the Forge Racing drivers starting to drop a little bit early on in this stint. We're only on lap 6. A big run behind Morton from James Walker, though.
Yeah, all eyes on all of these battles up at the front of the field. Andrew Worling, Justin Morton, and Joshua Chin, as well as Travis Worling, are in that battle for the second place in the points. So Travis Worling doing the best out of those guys right now. Andrew Worling just tucked in behind James Walker, about 8/10 back. We're riding on board right now with Justin Morton, the VR man, as he's piloting it through the corner. You're going to see him looking to the left quite a bit today.
So the good news for Mark Stevenson fans is he is back out and he's a lap down. I think he did not take his spare car. No, he did not. So he just replaced the wing. But we got to remember, this is IndyCar rules. There are no lucky dogs. You have to get back on the lead lap the old school way.
You do indeed, and that's going to be very, very tricky. The best way he's going to be able to have to do that at this point is to go on a little bit of an alternate fuel strategy as we jump back here to the middle of this field. Very, very wide. Some drivers almost 3 wide there coming through 1 and 2. That is possible to be able to take it out that far on the opening stages of this stint. But as the tires wear in a little bit, it will be harder and harder.
Yeah, DJ, I just watched Kevin Hill come off of turn 4 and almost lose it and drop down to the bottom of the track. That's why he lost so many positions. He's that bright green machine in and amongst the many green machines that are out there. Kevin Hill been able to hang on to it, but he's fallen back to only 5th above last.
Indeed, and so many drivers there. I'm trying to figure out which team that is. Looks like that is Dog Bear Red, ironically colored themselves green, that are basically all around as things get a little bit tight in there. And this certainly has been frantic in that middle part. Someone losing control down at the bottom. Jeff Schmeier having to really catch it as they go side by side in front of him. That's Wood and Henrique there, vying for 15th.
Yeah, vying for 15th, just side by side. That's one of the things that you can get around here, Motegi, especially through 1 and 2. Those excellent battles there at the back. We focus in on the 19. That's Nick Kuhn bringing up the back of the field, trying to run that high line. Woo, you got to be careful about that. Coming through 3 and 4, that cannot end well.
I wonder if he's had some issues. He was the one, I'm pretty certain I said, almost lost it the lap before. Oh, yeah, he touched the apron through 1 and 2 last lap and almost lost the car there. So it's all been going wrong for the 19 machine.
Yeah, I'm noticing quite a few drivers are getting a little bit tight right now. It might be time to adjust that weight jacker for the first time today if you haven't already. Some drivers will adjust it depending on each side of the course that they're on, so you'll see that adjustment as well. So let's take a look at that incident, though, Joe.
Yeah, that was Nick Kuhn in the 19, just about a lap or so ago. Let's see. Yeah, he's already going to be on the bottom because remember he had to try and catch it. And he's trying to stay out of the way, I think, of those who have a little bit more speed. And there it is right there. Yeah.
He just gets his left wheels in that little rut down there at the bottom of the track, and it'll actually pull the car in towards the bottom of the track there. If you're not careful and you try and overcorrect, you'll actually find yourself getting slungshot to the outside. But up at the front of the field, James Walker's trying to make the move on Justin Morton, and I think Liam Quinn's going to follow him through.
Yeah, Liam Quinn is a known hot shoe here in the Indy cars, open wheelers in general. He ducks to the inside, and that is going to put him past Justin Morton. Liam Quinn now into 4th.
Yes, it is, and now Quinn's going to be lining up on Walker the best that he can, trying to get that in there, wiggling this way and that. Seeing what he can do. He tries to dive down to the inside there of that 97, but a little bit of a cutoff there, giving him room. Ooh, watch the overdrive. Wow. Ooh, oh, that was very close there for him. You've got to be careful when you come out of 4 like that. You can get caught up in the aero wash, and that car will just slide up the track on you like you're off and into the marbles.
So off of turn 2 now and down the back stretch, looking underneath James Walker. Quinn's got the speed. He's got the desired inside line. Is Walker going to try and fight it? Yes, he is. Around the slow turns of 3 and 4, but he falls back enough that now Quinn is within the podium. But he is already a full 3.5 seconds behind Josh Chin, who has just been schooling this field.
Yeah, Travis Worling was catching Josh Chin for a couple of laps, but now Travis Worling in second position is falling back pretty consistently at this point by about 1/10 of a second per lap. So Josh Chin, with his years of IndyCar experience, really starting to show at this point.
All right, 16 laps into this already, and we're still getting some fierce battles in this field. But I saw another change of position in the mid-pack. Oh, we got quite a one between the 32, the 64, and the 888. That's Yatito, Wood, and Smith coming down into turn 1 once again. Smith running the bottom. Wood tries to cut back down to see if he can get the squared off exit, and it does pretty well for him. The Kinetic driver is going to look inside. He might have this spot back.
I think he does. Not looking like that Eric Smith behind is going to be able to hold on to that momentum, and indeed he's going to fall back a little bit there. That was a really, really heads-up move from Andrew Wood. You noticed him taking about a half a lane higher here through 1 and 2, and you notice the same thing there from Eric Smith going about a half a lane lower. Now, they're doing that to get some of that clean air onto part of the front wing to try to maximize the downforce that they can get around the corner. If you don't get that clean air, the car is more likely to wash up, as we've talked about.
Looks like the air clearing up just a little bit. It's been very foggy today up until now, but the sun coming out and helping burn a little bit of that away. It is a still relatively hot track out here in Japan that the drivers have been dealing with, and that certainly can't be fun. You know, the thing that I wonder, DJ, about the drivers taking those different lines. At what stage do we see it narrow up because of the marbles around here, especially with all the green flag racing we've seen?
Well, I would anticipate here with as hot as it is, not a lot of wind, those marbles are going to start to really accumulate by about lap 40 or 50. Now, because of how wide Motegi is and that we've seen some drivers running up in those higher grooves here, those marbles will be pretty high up the track. But as we get on to about halfway through the race, I really anticipate that the first two corners in particular to maybe be about 2 grooves-ish. Watch for turn 3 and 4, though. I think by the time we get to lap 75 or 100, that's going to be 1 groove and 1 groove only.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on it, see if the racing continues to evolve, and we got a car spun on the front stretch. It's Aaron Roofs, and that's going to bring out our first caution of the day. That car not in good condition. It was once again the treacherous turn 4 exit, which caught another driver spinning and slapping the wall. It was a good escape for Nick Kuhn, too, once we watched this first angle here. Kuhn had to really take avoiding action.
Yeah, this is absolutely just the transition of the transition off of turn 4 absolutely catches him out. It's right as the transition starts to bleed into the front straight, which is entirely flat. There's no banking on the front stretch, and so it goes from 10 degrees to 0 degrees quite quickly, and that's where we see the incident happen. Here's the 19 who sees the car coming across the track. Oh my goodness. It doesn't get much closer than that.
Yeah, and he was still at full tilt. They hadn't quite had that yellow be thrown yet, so thankfully nobody else got caught up in it. And again, only 10 sets of tires, including the ones that they started with, so 9 pit stops are possible if they take tires every time. After that, they're basically fuel only. Let's see who makes the call to come in.
Waiting to see here, Joe. I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a couple of drivers in the back opting for an alternate strategy here, but it looks like most everybody, if not absolutely everybody, going to dive down pit lane. Pretty sure the only person who's going to stay out, yep, that's Mark Stevenson. Just as we said beforehand, he's going to get his lap back here.
And so a 10th of the way through the race, might as well take your first set of tires out of 9 in your pit box. So good opportunity for these drivers. So our leader, Joshua Chin, hits the box. Let's see whether or not he comes out at the same time. He's actually jumped out of the car, so he is not leaving. So first out is going to be Justin Morton. Something's happened to Josh Chin. He's not in the vehicle anymore.
Oh, no. Hopefully he gets this sorted out, whatever is plaguing him. Now he's finally rolling, and he's at the back of the field.
I guess he's just trying the last to first challenge.
I guess so. Also, poor Aaron Roofs is still limping his way around sideways with that poor crabbing car, trying to get it to get his spare car. And where is our leader? Actually coming through into turn 3 right now, so he might just get there in time.
If he takes that spare car, he will be able to get out in time. So he parks it, spare car. Now he's going to take a pit stop, though, so this is probably actually going to put him back unless he's down off the jacks and powers away, so he should be fine.
Yeah, I believe full tank on this car, which he wouldn't even need, but 4 tires is 7 seconds, and let's see, what was his stop? It's about 8.6, yeah, so he took a little bit of extra fuel beyond his 4 tires and then got back out there. For those curious, our fuel tank runs, if we stay green the whole time, are probably in the range of 55 to 60 laps. So we weren't even close to running out on that one. But if we do get more clean running, it'll be a talking point, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. And we could see what comes down to a lot of IndyCar oval races, which is that strategy of saving fuel. It's one of the harder things to do in an IndyCar, and it is very, very tricky to just sort of balance out that right foot in the draft, lift off as much as you can, and try to be as conservative as possible.
Let's see, do we have lights out on the pace car this time? Looks like no. So we got to go around at least one more time. Roofs is back in the pits again. Now, why did he come back in pit lane?
Well, he's already at the back, so maybe, I mean,
Top up, I guess, yeah.
I suppose. I might as well get some more fuel, so nothing to lose at this point. So just taking some more fuel, and he'll just rejoin at the back of the pack as we come back onto the straightaway. Should theoretically be getting one to go this time by.
Now, Mark Stevenson, I think, is the one that really needs to be concerned about that fuel limit because he is still on the same tank that he started with. And he should get the wave by here. Yep, there he goes, allowing Justin Morton to retake the point up at the front. But Stevenson is at least back on the lead lap. He's probably going to have somewhere in the range of another 40, 42 laps, I would guess, at this point before he absolutely has to pit.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So he's going to be hoping for another yellow to come out here, probably in about 20 to 30 laps to get him back on sequence with all of the drivers. Now, the other switch to that equation is if he's able to make this work for a little bit longer, he may just find himself as the only guy on an alternate strategy that gets him to the end.
That's a good point. If it becomes a fuel race, he could have found a strange advantage out of this whole situation. Regardless, he's probably got base based on his qualifying. Now he has a whole field in front of him as we get ready to restart for the first time. Let's watch from onboard Morton here. Let's see if we can look back at the cars behind as we take this restart. And here is his onboard camera. You can see him looking into the corner on his VR set. Ready to go, holding up to the high side. Pace car is in, and the green flag is out. He gets a pretty good jump, already looking in his mirrors, checking to see what kind of run those behind him have, but everything seems to be good as he is clean off into one.
Yeah, great start. He just checked his mirrors a little bit to make sure that Travis was not catching him going into 1 and 2, able to do just fine. But Travis Warling sliding up the track a little bit through 1 and 2 there, so now trying to gain on Justin Morton. They're going to be heavy braking into 3 and 4. Now Travis Warling trying to gain on that bottom of the track. Wow, look at how close he's getting to the back of Justin Morton. Justin's going to see him in the mirrors there, checking one side, checking the other. He's going to see him in the left-hand mirror. Here comes Travis Warling down to the inside of Justin Morton into 1 and 2.
He's got the inside, and now he's got the lead. So Warling back up to the point. I wonder if this is a little bit of difference on the setups of these cars. This is an open setup series, and some of them may be able to get up to speed a little bit quicker than the others. Certainly looks like Justin Morton is struggling here now that he is getting the tires back up to temperature.
Yeah, indeed, Joe. Some of these cars just may be a little bit suited to a lighter fuel run, and when they are a little bit heavier, they'll be a little bit more sluggish getting up to speed. Morton just not looking like it is, and especially looking at his line coming through 1 and 2, he's a little bit off of that white line. You want to hug it as much as you can. A little bit of side-by-side action there in the back as we go down into 3 and 4.
Yep, this is... looks like a battle between Kinchlow and Waring in there. Waring going to come out ahead as Kinchlow gets a little slow as he wiggles off turn 4. Andrew Wood has to take avoiding action. Both kinetic cars get out the other side.
Yeah, unfortunately, Andrew Wood did not get any wing damage from that. No contact between the two drivers. That's actually our championship winner, Christian Challenger, who's tucked in there, the #1 machine, the red, white, and blue iRacing machine. He's made his way up from 20th up to 6th at this point in the race, so the driver's at the front. Oh my goodness, that was a nice slide from Lynn Kinchlow up there. Actually, I believe that was Andrew Waring that actually clipped the apron just a little bit coming out of 4, ends up sliding the tires a little bit, able to catch it and able to keep going. Christian Challenger walks his way by.
And my apologies from earlier. Kinchlow actually racing for Udox Motorsports, not Kinetic. I'm kind of surprised at Challenger being sort of quiet today. Now he's been making very good progress, as you can see here, making passes pretty easily, but we're so used to him being such a dominant force in most cars we get into. I honestly had not even taken into account that he was in this race.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange, Joe, but remember, one of the other times we saw him out in the open wheelers was when we were running the Lotus 79s at Long Beach, and he just felt like he could never get a good grip on that car. So maybe a little bit of a similar situation here today, just struggling a little bit as we are Noah's Ark coming through 3 and 4 there. Woohoo!
Yeah, Kinchlow to the bottom of Walker, but can't get the exit. Andrew Wood does. He's going to come up on the outside of Kinchlow as well. He's towing along Andrew Waring on top of it. Waring backs out of it, but Kinchlow gets himself up into, no, that's Wood rather, gets himself up into 6th place. Walker up to his high side. They're going to go side by side through 3 and 4 is in front of them. Looks like Challenger just took the podium position.
Yeah, so Challenger able to get himself up into 3rd over ahead of Justin Morton. So, I mean, you guys said he was struggling, but I was thinking while you guys were talking, just give him 20 laps and he'll be up there. And here he is continuing to claw his way forward as this fog continues to burn off. And we continue to get a little bit hotter temperatures on the track. It seems like it's suiting Challenger's setup a little bit more. I know most of these drivers set up for it to be clear skies. It sure looks like it's starting to appease them at this point.
I just looked at the humidity, and it has gone down about 3% since we started. So the sun does seem to be having an effect. And as we come down into turn 1, is a huge train now behind Andrew Wood, Morton, Walker, Kinchlow, Waring, and Powers are all following him.
Yeah, just lining out single file there. It looks like that. Maybe one of the cars trying to make a dive down to the inside. That's going to be Walker on Morton to get on by through 3 and 4. Ooh, Walker hung out a little bit to dry there on that point, or rather Morton hung out a little bit to dry. He may be a sitting duck here as they cross the start-finish line. Kinchlow maybe thinking about a move. Not going to have it happen just yet.
No, and they are certainly dropping off of Andrew Wood. Now that he's got clear air, he is off like a shot, looking underneath Kinchlow, trying to pass on Justin Morton. Justin on the upper side is definitely used to these oval tracks. And behind them, we've hopped on board with Andrew Waring now. The 336 trying to ride the low side. Doesn't seem to be speed off the corner there. Oh, and getting pinched in. Morton wanted an open space, and Kinchlow said no.
No, he did not, but now it's going to be Kinchlow that gets a little bit pinched in by Walker in front of him in that 44. Or, excuse me, that's going to be Walker that gets pinched in.
Yeah, so Justin Morton having to fall behind Waring as Waring was able to get to the low side through 1 and 2, now through the slower 3 and 4. There you see Morton is trying to send it deep into the corner, a little bit too deep, but he looks like he's a little tight coming off the corner as well, so washes up the track. So Morton just not feeling super comfortable in that setup right now, Joe.
And that green car, Andrew Waring, we have to remember, he's actually in a battle with Justin Morton right now, in the points separated by 1 point. So as it sits, Andrew will take that second place as long as, well, actually, Joshua Chin has been very fast today. So he could yet come in there. And whoa, way up the track, Rob Powers, where is he going? He keeps it from getting into the wall, but suddenly he was off in La La Land.
Yeah, he got super lucky with that, Joe. I think that's a little bit a case of the marbles that we started to talk about, maybe getting formed up a little bit. They're able to catch the car and bring it on down the track a little bit. But these drivers have got to be very, very careful as they go in. We're side by side, though. This is Kinchlow and Walker. Kinchlow able to get by down on the low side. Looked like a little bit of a check up there mid-corner from Walker, and that's going to allow for Waring to come back into the equation.
Waring just a little bit loose off of the corner. James Walker doing a great job to hang on to the back of Kinchlow after that pass is made. There are 2 lines to these corners, but that being said, not that high up, not as high as we saw Rob Powers go. We can see these guys actually starting to wash out just a little bit off of the corners, and it's actually causing them to lose, to heat up the rear tires a little bit on exit. Riding on board with Waring once again as he's looking to try and late apex 3 and 4 to get a good run, and man, did it work out for him.
Yeah, he is once again all over the back of James Walker. I got curious about Chin and Stevenson with their start from the back. Chin's already up to 13th. Stevenson is up to 18th. So they're making inroads on this field as we come once again off of turn 2. There's Steve Driscoll being chased by Josh Chin. And Chin does not make the pass this time through, but his pace is plenty good enough that I'm sure once he finds the right opening, he's going to be passed. And yeah, he's already looking on the inside into 1.
Looking on the inside, he's going to take that narrower line. The 51 there, trying to carry just a little bit more momentum for Driscoll, but that's not going to pay out for him. He'll just have to tuck up behind to the draft as the freight train that is Joshua Chin continues to move up the field. That's a late move there for Driscoll, though. He's not giving up the ghost quite yet.
Fights back down to the inside through 3 and 4. Oh, at the same time this happening, Andrew Warren is in the wall. Andrew Warren wrecks, and someone behind him, unfortunately, has a similar incident. Cars having to scatter. Thankfully, I'm seeing nobody run into either mess. But it
Andrew
looks
Warren
like
takes a tow.
Yeah, which is going to potentially send him down a lap. Smith is going to try and run it home.
Andrew Warren is battling with Lynn Kinchlow and just gets a little bit of snap of oversteer on the exit of 4, tries to catch it, overcorrects, and then ends up in the inside wall.
In a big
Eric
way.
Smith was a separate incident.
I wonder if Smith got a little bit distracted by the incident in front of him happening, frankly, because he was coming up on that.
Yeah, you saw there he caught that inside of the apron, did that. And with Eric Smith, you know, Joe, that frankly reminds me of the incident in Indianapolis 3 or 4 years ago with Connor Daly and Michaela Lotion coming into turn 2, where Daly just had a little bit of incident fixation ahead of him. And I think Smith had the same problem and just nosed it on into the wall.
Yeah, he got loose sort of on his own as he was approaching it, but I'm sure the distraction of trying to watch that car did not help him try to focus on what his own car was doing, and he continues to cycle around to try to get to the open pit lane as they've already been picked up. Now, the man that this really helps is Mark Stevenson, because he is now on lap 43 of this stint. Well, 40 really, since he did come into pit lane to get his nose replaced. As we see the cars now come on in, because Stevenson can at least get back on the same strategy as those around him.
Another 10th of the race gone, another set of tires gone. So this is working out well for all these drivers. They only need to run these tire sets for about 22 laps apiece, and then they get to trade them out for new tires. And I think that it seems like that 20-lap cliff is what we're taking a look at to see whether or not that's affecting everybody. So Travis Worling off the jacks onto the power. He's going to leave. He's going to leave first, and it's a very close fight between Liam Quinn and Christian Challoner, but Quinn beats out Challoner off of the pit lane.
Worling is the first to exit past the cones. Quinn up next, with Challoner coming out in third amongst them. Now, we do have a few other championships to talk about, as we didn't cover every single one of them during our pre-race show. And those, of course, are 2 of the Sportsman Championships. First off being the teams. And Adam, I believe you've got the update on that Sports Teams Championship.
It's actually very close for the Sportsman teams. Forge Racing Sport 1 currently holds only 4 points over Sector 5 Sports going into this race that is going on right now as we speak. Evolve Sim Sports Academy, they're still relatively in it, but it's going to be a challenge for them to claw their way up into the lead, being 23 points back. Then High Class Racing has secured that 4th place, along with Howler Racing securing the 5th place. So it really is between Forge Racing Sport 1 and Sector 5 Sports. So hoping that all their drivers showed up tonight for the Sportsman race. It'll be an interesting battle down there.
iRacing Pace Car already has the lights out, and we are getting ready to go racing on lap 46 here at Twin Ring Motegi. Again, this is the season finale for the majors, the Indy Japan 300. First time, I believe, they've held a race at Motegi in either of the courses, the road or the oval, here at this venue in the majors. And so it's a bit of an experience, learning experience for all.
Indeed it is, Joe, but as usual, we're seeing some of the usual suspects rise to the point here, and I think what's going to get very, very interesting is if we are able to continue going on in this race and we get past that 20 to 25 lap tire cliff, seeing who is able to make moves at that point. That is what is going to be crucial, and that's going to determine who is going to be standing on the top step here today.
Undoubtedly. You can see them all getting up to the high side. Now, the reason they do this is because if you try and pass someone underneath before the start-finish line, then you will be given a black flag. So everybody covering themselves off to make sure they can't be overtaken on the start. And the green flag is out. Travis Worling is off.
We have a spinner in the back of the field. Andrew Waring is spinning in.
No. And he did make it into the wall. No caution because he's off the racing line. Is this second place gone for Andrew Waring, or can he get it going? He's still stationary.
This is it.
He's towed. He's done.
Remove Andrew Waring from the second place contention fight. Unfortunate for him, but we're going green. Travis Worling with a decent gap over Liam Quinn. Christian Challenger tucked into that third position. Well, Andrew Wood just about 2/10 behind him.
Indeed, so there they come. Wood trying to close in the best that he can on Challenger, with Quinn trying to close in on Worling, breaking off in the little couplets here, working their way around. Ooh, this looks like a good run up front for Liam Quinn. He's going to stick it behind, waiting around, taking that later apex through 3 and 4 and trying to carry momentum off the corner.
But he's not quite got enough, it seems, so Worling will retain it. Worling with a record of 5 wins in his career in the majors. So he has certainly had experience being up front. It's a long list of winners, but very few who have gotten more than one. And down to the inside, another look from Liam Quinn. But again, he finds himself without the momentum to make it stick.
Yeah, not quite the momentum this time around. Let's see whether or not he can do something into 1 and 2 this time. They're going to go more or less nose to tail through. Look at this. Nice look to the outside from Liam, but he better be careful because he needs to cover off his inside because Christian Challenger. Oh, Christian way up the track. Oh, he manages to save it.
Whew. He may have the championship already, but I guarantee you he wants to win this race as well. And to the inside of Travis Worling, Liam Quinn gives this another shot, but once again, he gets denied. That'll make him slow on the front stretch. Christian Challenger backs it up before he actually attempts to pass. Andrew Wood has also joined the fray.
Indeed, Andrew Wood looking very, very threatening there on Challenger, taking a little bit of a lower line off of 1 and 2, tucking up behind. There's a little poke to the outside for Liam Quinn. Is he going to have the move going down into 3 and 4? He's going to think about it, but not able to get it done. That's going to check up Challenger, and that's going to check up Wood a little bit as well.
And I can confirm, was that a little brush with the wall from Worling? I think Worling may have touched the wall on the exit of 4 as past him goes Liam Quinn, the kinetic driver, now to the points.
Yeah, nice move there from Liam, just trying to put pressure on Worling, make Worling make a mistake. He did, but looks like Worling's not done yet. He's going to stay in behind Quinn. Oh, he makes contact with him and wrecks out Quinn.
Caution comes out, and Worling is immediately on the radio apologizing. What happened there? Was that... No, that definitely wasn't netcode. I went back and looked on my screen. Let's pull up the replay.
I'm not sure why Travis thought that Liam was going to carry more speed into the corner than that. Here we come into the corner, and you could just see that Travis...
Just runs him over.
Yeah, Travis is just keeping more speed into the corner than Liam. I think both of them were going to the high side there, and I don't think Travis expected that, and instead of braking, he just continues to roll the car through.
Yeah, Adam, you read my mind in looking at that. I think what Travis thought was that he was going to go on the high line, and instead what was actually happening there from Liam Quinn is he was braking the car to take a later apex into the corner. So just a misjudgment there from Travis Worling. Yet that's not how an Indy car's supposed to drive.
Is that the dirt setup that they've got on it right now?
Only if they're going to turn right.
Oh, well, he might turn right, right into the wall as he does get it rolling once again. He's trying to get it back to pit lane, which wasn't open yet, which is why we're seeing this. Don't expect anybody but him to pit in, and now he's finally able to creep into the lane. Now, I was about to say something earlier during that green flag run that Andrew Waring has been confirmed DNF today. He's out and done. Oh, and we got a couple other takers. I see Brian Barnes on pit lane. Looks like Wallet and Warling having to get repairs.
Yeah, so Warling getting a nose repair. We got Justin Kirby, who also took some time on the pit lane. And obviously, we have Brian Barnes and Liam Quinn. Liam Quinn getting his fast repair complete. His spare car is out there, so he will be down one. That is Eric Smith and Liam Quinn, as well as Aaron Roofs, who have used up their spare machines. I assume Mark Stevenson did as well, but I'm not finding him right now.
Oh, hey, gee, look who's leading this race.
Oh.
Christian Challenger again.
Hi, Christian.
Always seems to manage to find a way, no matter where he starts these races. Amazing how competitive he's able to be in these events. And I know those who are not familiar with this major series, the reason we're talking about him so much is the only one to have 3 championships to his name. I need to check. I think he is now joined by a few others to have multiple pro driver championships in the majors now this season, as we've just crowned a few others last round. But the other thing about him is Christian, by far, holds the record of most wins in this series, 31, and he's only been a part of the series for 4 years now, I think it is. Next closest, Blake Reynolds, 16 wins.
It's really just remarkable, Joe, when you look at those numbers, the absolute dominance of Christian Challenger. Pretty much any kind of car you can throw his way, he is going to be strong in it. And yeah, it was surprising to see him start the race down in 20th, but it is the least surprising thing in the world to see him at the point right now.
Looks like Liam Quinn took his spare car. And other than him, who else do we have? I see we had Roofs in earlier, so he's taken his. Andrew Waring took his, but that's a moot point because he is gone. So 2 drivers are down to their last bullet in the chamber, if you will. And we'll have to try and keep it safe from here as we head up to the high side of the track because the lights are off on the pace car. And it'll be Christian Challenger leading us back to the green on lap 55. There goes the pace car. Challenger waiting on it, and now he goes. Green flag is out here at Motegi. It's a pretty big jump for him over Andrew Wood, and the field behind got a little checked up, anticipating that start wrong.
Yeah, just a little bit of a caterpillar emotion from those drivers in the back of the field. So easy to happen here in the IndyCar series, but Christian Challenger absolutely off like a rocket, but Andrew Wood still close enough to pick up that draft down the back straightaway as they dive it into 3 and 4. Christian Challenger with that clear air, what can he do with it? He actually pushes up a little bit off of the corner, so this is going to give an opportunity to Wood to get yet another draft, and if he can carry that speed through 1 and 2 again, he'll be right on the back of Christian Challenger by the time they hit 3 and 4.
In the background, you saw a car poking his nose down to the bottom. That was Mark Stevenson, who's trying to take 7th place away, but he gets chopped off by Driscoll there, who's having none of it. And just ahead of them is also Joshua Chin, who just took 4th. So Chin, who fell all the way to the back, has made his way back to the front in about 30 to 40 laps.
Yeah, Chin, definitely one of the IndyCar aces here on the iRacing sim, so he starts to move his way forward. Morton trying to hold on to the back of that 93, but just not looking like he's fully got it. Chin, oh, that is exactly how you drive that line through Motegi, just flirting those left side tires down onto the white line.
Yeah, if I had to guess, Joe, it's my money's on Josh Chin and Christian Challenger duking it out for this win, so long as Chin can make his way up there without too many of his own incidents going forward.
Yeah, still not sure what cost him the time and that one pit stop that put him in the back. We need to try and figure it out, unless maybe he had a speeding penalty of some sort. As we come around side-by-side action here once again, Rob Powers and Mark Stevenson. Well, Stevenson was moving forward pretty quickly, and now he's starting to move backwards as Schmeier thinks about trying to overtake him, but then backs out.
Ooh, and that's going to be Stevenson. A little bit of a drift up the track. He's got to check the car up coming off the corner a little bit. That's not exactly what you want to do in these Indy cars. You want to keep as smooth as motion as possible, not try to really jerk the steering wheel at all, as that is going to scrub speed off coming off of these corners. But Stevenson's going to be able to get back in line here, focus his way forward yet again, trying to get that move on the 47 of Rob Powers.
Down to start lap 60 here already. Our driver still being led by Challoner, but Woods starting to reel him back in. Someone poking their nose out to the bottom there for a brief moment. That looks to be the car of Yatito, who gets denied by Steele. As they come off the turn now onto the back stretch. Such a strange track compared to most ovals, not just in the sim, but around the world, with its egg shape, but it's a flat egg shape.
Yeah, 10 degrees of banking all the entire way around on the corners. There's no progressive banking, and then it's flat on the straightaways. And so it's that transition that causes all these drivers issues over and over again. And oh my goodness, Chris Yatito very high up the track, able to keep it off the wall just barely. But I mean, once we hit that 20 lap tire cliff, DJ, they're not going to be able to save that anymore.
No, they are not, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the aggression here. Almost 3 wide there, getting very, very tight in that mid-pack. Ooh, thinking about it, running a nice little triangle here as they now dive down into 1 and 2. We ride on board with the 90 of Warling as he's going to poke his nose to the inside the 52 of Kevin Hill. Tries to get it. Kirby washes up the track, and I think that may present a little bit of a twofer here for Warling if he wants it.
He's trying to climb his way back through the field and easily outbrakes Kevin Hill into the oval. And he's thinking about the outside, maybe? No, he's just going to wash up. Still a wiggle off the corner from the likes of Justin Kirby. That slows him up enough that it's neck and neck into turn 1. Looks like it's just not quite there for Warling. Well, no, I spoke too soon. Here he comes back around once again. Middle line through 1 and 2 doesn't look too shabby.
No, not too shabby at all, but my goodness, it's now a 4-car battle. It's about to be a 5-car battle with Aaron Roofs. You can see Kevin Hill actually backing out just a little bit down there on the bottom side. Liam Quinn now the third. Oh, man, Liam Quinn, I think, clipped the wall just a little bit there on the exit, but he's going to still carry the momentum, but decided to try and send it low on Justin Kirby, who chops him off going into 1 and 2. Now 4 cars line abreast, as I believe that is Warling, who's starting to run away with it.
Yeah, checked, and Quinn managed to keep off the wall, but it was mighty close. Both of these drivers trying to recover from the same incident, essentially. One having taken his spare car, the other having hopped in for some repairs.
Wow.
Oh, we got a car off.
Jason Enrique is spun on the front stretch.
I think that is one of our Forge racing machines.
And same story, different tune.
And guess what lap of the stint this happened on?
20th.
22.
All right.
Noticing a trend here.
Uh-huh. You think we'll see everyone into the pits?
I think we absolutely will. Wow. Sign up for some stunt driving there, Enrique. That's put it just inches from the wall and didn't touch a thing. That is a huge boon to him. At worst, he loses track position, doesn't have to take repairs, doesn't have to sacrifice his spare car, and he's still on the lead lap.
Yeah, I think I want Jason Enrique to go out and buy me a lottery ticket tonight, Joe. That was absolutely lucky as all can be, and he'll be able to stay, as you said, on that lead lap. As we watch here, Challoner led from the last green flag, anticipating everybody diving on in.
Still on course for the drivers to be decent on tires if they keep changing at the same amount of time. The real question will be what happens if they get down to the last stint and they get an extra caution, I suppose, and they feel like tires will give them speed. Is no surprise. Everybody is in pit lane except,
Aaron Roofs.
Liam Quinn, both of which are on the lead lap. But Liam Quinn had to take a stop last time. So he was on a shorter stint. He only had 13-lap-old tires. So this will get him very good track position. He's not sacrificing too much. Yeah, this is only lap 14. Roofs, however, is on lap 24. So he's a little bit more into the thick of things.
This is going to be a real test for Aaron Roofs if he does stay out. Now, he might be doing a fuel game, and he might actually come in the next lap. But if he decides to stay out and be up there with Liam Quinn, this is going to be a real test to see whether any driver in this field can survive after the 20-lap cliff that we've been seeing really affect drivers coming off of turn 4. Now, Christian Challoner is the first driver to take it out of the pits. Lynn Kinchlow is going to come up in the second out of the pits, with Joshua Chin third, Justin Morton fourth, and Andrew Wood falling back 5 spots off of the pit lane. So it'll be Liam Quinn, Aaron Roofs, then the group we just talked about.
So while Chin is our highest among those in the hunt for the second place in the championship, he's only one position ahead of Morton, and he's down from Morton by about 14 points. So he really needs a much bigger margin than that to be able to overtake him, since I believe, let me double check, I think it's yeah, after 5th place, it's 1 point between each finishing position. So that'll not do for him. Chin really needs to win this race and have Morton finish probably outside the top 15.
I think that's about the math that we're going to need on that as we watch Chin there on your screen. He's going to have Kinchlow right ahead of him. We're going to have to keep an eye on the restart here as they come out of 2, start working their way up the track, as you said, Joe, wanting to protect that outside line.
Indeed. Incredibly, we've only had one DNF so far, and that is Andrew Waring. And even these 68 laps in, we still have 25 drivers on the lead lap. Nick Kuhn is the last among them there. So the drivers have been doing a better job than I anticipated, frankly, of keeping this competitive. I would have thought we'd have at least a number of cars lap downs, especially after this many cautions, and find ourselves with only a few really in the hunt. But I'd say anybody within the top 10 is pretty handy to try and go for the win on this one. Green flag is out. Liam Quinn, now that he's got clear air, is loving life. And we get a caution right away. Wallet has spun it on the restarts.
Yeah, this was just under power application coming off of turn 4. Jason Wallet, even on fresh tires, he just absolutely goosed it and sent it straight down to the bottom of the track. Unfortunately stopped with his right rear tire on the track, and that will put us under another caution.
You say even with the fresh tires. I say especially with the fresh tires. I think those cold tires are a bit sketchy for the drivers to try to really put the throttle down. And Jason getting on the radio to give a little bit of apology to the field for extending our caution.
We'll jump back and check out this replay very quickly just to see exactly what went wrong there. You can see starting to get on the power, a little bit of a check up in front. Slow it down, and then on to the loud pedal, and whee! There goes Wallet around.
So he moves to the back of the 25 runners after that. But we are going to move to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We have more racing yet to come here in the season finale for the majors. It's the Indy Japan 300. Don't go away.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Twin Ring Motegi. Lap 72 here in our 200 lap event for the season finale of the majors. Liam Quinn is your leader, and Aaron Roos and Christian Challoner round out the podium in these Indy cars. We've got 25 of our 26 cars still running. Last caution, or current caution really, is because of Jason Wallet spinning on the restart. So we're resetting, trying again, see if we can get it going. And it's been very consistent in terms of the cautions, with most happening just about every 20 laps or so, though a few have been scattered in and about there.
It's going to be an interesting restart. We have Liam Quinn and Aaron Roos, as you mentioned, who did not take the pit stop this last time by. Liam Quinn with relatively fresh tires, Aaron Roos with 22 lap old tires. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to fare versus the likes of Christian Challoner, Glenn Kinchlow, Josh Chin, who took tires on this last caution.
Now working their way through, getting ready to take the restart. He's been released, and the green flag is out. Quinn is on it. I was looking at the back of the fields at some of our Legends drivers in that championship. Kevin Hill and Brian Barnes very close together on track, but that's not good news for Barnes, who needs to be much farther ahead of Hill, as Quinn looks decent, but really the test is going to be out of turn 4. 20 lap old tires, with the last few of them being under caution, so they've cooled down. Let's see how it handles.
Well, and Joe, off of that restart, it looked like Christian Challoner got a little bit of tire spin, so that set him back ever so slightly, but now he is all on the back end of Aaron Roos right now. Roos 30 laps on those tires right now, so he is going to be looking like he's about to be gobbled up. Challoner able to run a little bit of an over-under there. He's going to get down to the inside as they make their way into 3.
Yeah, he's just going to give him room. He tries to fight for a little bit. Behind them, Lynn Kinchlow starting to catch up because of that washing out. High roofs, very slow. So now Kinchlow, and it looks like Josh Chin going to make it through. Oh, they bang wheels. I think they're going to get away with it, but I'm sure there are going to be some shaking fists inside of those virtual cockpits.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Kinchlow would close that down so far. That is... I mean, it's way too early for that kind of blocking on the track. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to put a challenge like that out, especially with the overspeed that Chin had going into the corner.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mystery to me as well, but Chin does move to 3rd because of that overtake. So next on his list, Challoner and Quinn. Looks like Roofs is starting to really drop and feel the effects of those old tires. He's been overtaken by Wood. Morton is side by side with him as well.
Trying to get it down there. You can see the field trying to feel out those new tires as they work their way on through. It doesn't really look like there is any of that damage that we talked about, courtesy of that contact with Joshua Chin as he continues to drive his way forward, but we focus there. That is the 97 of James Walker working his way down low on Roofs. He is on forward. Roofs just falling like a stone on those old tires.
Credit where credit's due, though. He's still in 8th place. And he, before that last caution, I want to say was pretty far down the field as Quinn and Challoner are going side by side. Challoner gave it a go, but then Quinn denied him, so he will stay in the lead.
Yeah, Challoner absolutely sent it deep into 3 and 4 as we saw on screen. And Liam Quinn able to hold the traction on the exit of the corner. So still clearly has a little bit of life left in those tires. Christian Challoner actually lifts a little bit, probably doing a little bit of fuel saving going into 3 and 4 this time around. I think he's just going to wait at this point for Quinn's tires to wear out.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Christian doesn't need to press the issue here. We're still on lap 79, haven't even hit the halfway point, and there's a lot of strategy to play out. As long as he's safe riding behind this kinetic driver, then he should be golden. Former teammate, really, used to race for these kinetic teams. Christian Challoner gonna chuck it down to the bottom. Actually, I take that back. He is on the Kinetic Pros 2 team, technically still, but he just runs different liveries. But Christian, much more involved, obviously, now that he's an iRacing team member, running with the some of his fellow staff members out there as we go side by side behind him. Kinchlow up above Wood.
And they're going to continue to run side by side there, but there goes Kinchlow on and ahead, cutting off a little bit of the air of Andrew Wood. You see Wood having to check up, coming through 3 and 4, but able to get the power down right. Those new tires gripping up a little bit. Whoa, almost 3 wide there behind in the back, but everybody's still looking relatively calm and put together here as we basically tick down towards that inevitable about 20 lap mark where we've seen all the incidents take place, Joe.
That was Driscoll on roofs that you saw, along with Powers, Warling, and Steele in the fight for 10th place. Travis Warling still doing what he can to try and get back up to the front.
Yeah, all these drivers really trying to work off of the speed that they've got right now, because they are all have this internal timer in their head at this point, thinking to themselves, in about 20 laps time, we're all going to have a caution, so I need to make as much positions up as I possibly can. You're taking a look at Travis Warling trying to go around the outside there of Rob Powers. Can't quite get it done, so has to fall back into line. But Warling still trying to recover from that earlier wreck, but he's making that outside line work.
He's going to wash out, though, here a little bit, but he keeps the speed up. Rob Powers still has the inside line as they come down back to 1. Ahead of them, that's Aaron Roofs. Wonder if he'll get gobbled up by these two as well on those older tires, or if things evened out between them onto the backstretch. Still unable to get fully by. Rob Powers just making life a bit of a headache for the 90.
And indeed, and Roofs threw a little bit of a block there, but that's really going to send Warling up and wide. He's going to try to hold on to that car as they almost come 3 wide off at the corner. That is very lucky there for the 90 machine of Travis Warling that he did not make contact with that outside wall.
Flirting with disaster a little bit, but he's finally going to get past Roofs. That is at least one spot for Travis Warling. We hop back onto one of our Dog Bear red cars, Ryan Steele, just behind Roofs as well. I think Roofs is still on a net gain, even though he's losing positions. The real question is, how hairy is it inside that car? Is he putting himself and others in danger?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a little sketchy right now. We're taking a look at the battle between Joshua Chin and Liam Quinn. This is for the 2nd position. Liam's tires is starting to give up the ghost at this point. Josh Chin putting the pressure on. And we're, look at this, Lynn Kinchlow. Down on the high side, we got Andrew Wood on the low side, and Andrew washing up a little bit into Kinchlow. Kinchlow holds it off. Wood with a little bit of a snap of oversteer, and that's going to be all Kinchlow needs to get the invitation to go low.
Kinchlow charges down into 1. Looks like he might have this. Wood taking that middle line that we've seen run very well today, and he is going to take it back.
Had another wreck. It's Jason Enrique on the front stretch again.
But he's pointed forward. No caution. It looks like he's going to be able to keep from causing one as he spins to the bottom. Is he going to take a tow? He's holding it stationary. Still no yellow forthcoming. He's out of the way. So I think we are good. If he wants to drive it back to pit lane, he's going to have to do so very carefully.
And Joe, I can tell you from experience, if you wreck out and keep the car down there, it will not cause a yellow. So he is good on that lower line right there. He's just going to have to be very, very careful and pray that there's no big wide action come down the back straightaway.
And that's the second time we've seen Henrique have a spin, and he is on lap 20 of his tires. In the meantime, we still have a battle going on between Wood and Kinchlow. We're going to take a look at the replay to see what caused this. Well, there's his recovery. We're going to try and... Yeah, here's where it happened. Oh, this time it was the same spot, but he went to the outside.
Yeah, so he tried to fix what he messed up in the last one by doing a little bit of a correction to the right side, but this time ends up hitting the outside wall and then safely makes it into turn one, but the transition onto the banking caused a little bit of an issue. Here we take a look at Ryan Steele and Jeff Schmeier. Actually, no, this is a different moment.
I think that's this is Quinn and Chin, actually, that are vying for second place just ahead of Wood and Kinchlow, who have been side by side for probably a good 3 or 4 laps now, and it's still going on.
It is indeed, and I've got to get a little bit worried if I'm running like this about the tires. The drivers who came in at this point are on about lap 22 of their stint, crossing over from 23 now, so it's getting into that danger zone of where these tires are going to get very, very sketchy. They can't be running too many crazy lines here, or they could find themselves outside into that safer barrier.
As scary as those tires may be, that hasn't fazed Liam Quinn, because he's now fighting with Josh Chin, who's down below him. Is Quinn finally giving it up? Yeah, he's giving that spot to the 93, but he made him work for it.
And just a reminder to the drivers, don't forget that weight jacker. That will help make this car a little bit less snappy off of turn 4. So we see Chin clearing Quinn. Get those big steps every once in a while, and starting to pull away a little bit.
Next up, Christian Challenger, but it's 1.5 seconds up the road. So he's got some work to do here. If anybody's going to catch him, I definitely think Joshua Chin would be the man for the job as he tows along Quinn behind him. Perhaps Liam could use a little bit of fuel strategy here and just tow along with his rival and see if that helps. They've got about 2.1 seconds back to Kinchlow and Wood, so they're not under any threat from those behind.
No, they're not, Joe. And for Liam Quinn, I think this is frankly a real blessing in disguise. He doesn't necessarily want to play leapfrog with Chin here. Chin has some better outright pace, still setting the fastest lap holding the fastest lap of the race with a 30.1. If he can just tuck up behind that 93 here, use it to his advantage, let himself get pulled along and try to stretch this stint out as long as possible, that's going to put him on the right foot.
Looks like we've lost our second driver of the day. Henrique is officially out of the race, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my eyes on these drivers. They are extremely tight through 3 and 4. All of them having that snap oversteer on the exit of the corner. If they're not unwinding the wheel by the time they get to the 3/4 mark around the corner, they're usually having a little bit of a moment of oversteer, as I've been watching some of their onboards. So I've seen that from Liam Quinn, Joshua Chin, Justin Morton, Andrew Wood. So a lot of our top runners having a lot of the same issues right now.
Stevenson on the radio, I think he was a little irked at Justin Kirby by being chopped off into turn 1. I'm not sure what's going on with the 53, frankly, unless he's still experiencing some damage, because he's not really come through the field quite like we've seen some other drivers do. He's still just mired down in P17.
Yeah, Joe, and if you remember earlier in one of the stints, I believe it was the second or third stint after yellow, he was able to push forward a little bit. Well, right here, you can see part of the reason why he's off a little bit mired in no man's land. He's got about an 0.8 of a second advantage, or 0.8 of a second deficit back. And while he will be getting a little bit of a benefit of the toe, it's not going to be as major as the cars in front. And as we continue to go green for longer and longer and longer here, that's going to hurt him. He's also got a little bit of competition coming up from behind him.
And that's Adam Haleck, another teammate of his on Forge. So Haleck will be trying to not be held up too much here, but obviously they will want to play nice with each other so that they can get max team points. Looking back up to Wood chasing Kinchlow yet again for 4th place, just outside of the podium as we now approach the halfway mark in the next couple laps.
Yeah, I just saw Jeff Schmeier have a big moment off of turn 4, so the tires really starting to go away from these guys for sure as we're watching Lynn Kinchlow and Andrew Wood as they're having their own battle right now. Look at them wash off of the track headed up towards 3 and 4. So these Dalaras are starting to get pretty unruly.
Now, the driver that's praying for caution the most right now has to be Liam Quinn. He's on lap 45 of his stint. He's going to run out of fuel eventually. If they keep staying green, he is going to be off sequence and will be a little bit under the gun and susceptible, of course, to going a lap down.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you don't want to have happen. It'll be really, really tricky for him to get back on sequence there. But if we get a yellow here, this is going to play right into his favor. He's continued to stay right up behind Joshua Chin. Now, granted, he should have about 10 to 15 more laps or so for that yellow to come out. And I'm really impressed with his drivability. Look how close he is to Chin here. He is keeping that car really well put together.
Oh, we often talk about the experience that 24 has. And I feel like the time that he's spent in the Indy cars and especially open wheelers, that he knows how to set it up to deal with that sort of buffeting and still be quick today. He probably figured he'd have to try and have a car that handles well in the dirty air. In the meantime, we've had some great battles between Walker, Driscoll, and Warling. This is for P8, and in fact, I think Driscoll's taking a look on Walker down on the bottom, but he slips up a little bit.
Yeah, Warling slips up as well, but he slips up to the high side, so he's able to carry the speed off of the corner. So Warling trying to go around the outside there of Driscoll, who's down there on the low side, trying to recover from that slide. You can see just how challenging it is for these drivers to steer it through the corners and keep the thing going through the corners without it snapping loose on them. Here we go into 3 and 4, and this is where we're seeing the rubber meet the road for these drivers for sure. Walker a little bit high up the hill here. Warling able to keep the power down and able to get alongside. Is he going to be able to send it into 1?
He's going to think about it. And as they come down to the corner, he keeps it underneath Walker, but he's right on that white line, and he gets pinched. He has to drift off and stay behind, as now he's under threat from Driscoll as well. Down into turn 3. Driscoll tries to send it in as far as it'll go, and he might actually have something depending on what this exit looks like for Warling, because he's way washed up, but he is not completely washed up. He is going to retain P9.
Yes, he is. So really holding on to those tires there as we have officially ticked over the halfway point here. Working their way around, watching there. It looks like that 90 of Warling may have had a little bit of a run. Driscoll holding on behind, poked his nose a little bit to the inside. Ooh, that got a little bit spicy. It still gets spicy.
He's trying every which way he can, but none of them seem to be working. Another driver to watch out for on the fuel stints. Aaron Roofs is already on lap 60 himself as we go wheel to wheel down into turn 1 yet again. And this time, Warling manages to get his nose ahead, but Walker has the momentum. We're thinking about 3 wide. Here we go with Driscoll on the bottom.
Driscoll trying to make the move on the bottom around both of them, but he's too scared to go up to the high side to get a good line to the corner. Looks like it's not going to matter that much. Warling drifting out to the high side. Walker going to have to give him some room. So here we go, riding on board with Walker, looking back off of his right rear shock as they go to the corner side by side yet again, with Warling on the high side, Walker on the low side this time around.
Great battling, but how much is this using up the rubber underneath them? Are they going to pay for this a little bit later? It's already 38 laps into the stint for both of them. Down into 3 and 4. High side has been able to keep Warling even, but not able to allow him through, as that was hairy for Driscoll, somehow managing to save the car.
I don't know how he held on to that, Joe. That was absolutely incredible car control from Driscoll. You can see those drivers still continuing to flirt with that white line through 1 and 2. They've got to be very, very careful about that as this gets going further and further. It's going to be harder and harder for them to try to control it. Diving down now, Walker trying to just get a little bit of clean air on that front nose.
Let's keep the cameras here, but I was just checking our leaders because I noticed that Chin was way behind. He is running consistently slower laps than Challenger and has dropped about 3.1 seconds. So not looking good for him catching him like we were hoping to see a good battle at the front.
Yeah, and I'm keeping my eyes on another battle between Andrew Wood, Justin Morton, and Rob Powers. This is for 5th position for these guys. And look at this, Wood washing way up the track. Morton trying to make some power. We got a driver to the pits. Lynn Kinchlow has bitten first.
Now that is an interesting one because we were expecting Quinn to be the one to have to give that up as we come off of 2 and Wood to the high side of Morton. Will not quite stick. Morton retains 4th place. Rob Powers with some speed down into the corner. A whole lot of speed into the corner. Andrew Wood backs up. Is he pitting in as well? No, he's staying out.
All right, so yeah, that is a very strange decision there for him to bite on that. I'm not sure why he did it, but we continue to watch this battle. Quinn just keeping on there. They're going to dive down in a big, wide line.
Brian Barnes will be the next one to pit from the 20th position. So quite a couple of drivers deciding to take their pit stops a little bit early in this run.
And guys, Quinn just overtook Chin. How did that happen? On 56, 57 lap old tires, it seems like Quinn is not doing too bad out there. Now Chin just got the spot right back. Was there a mistake from the 93 or something? Because I suddenly saw the flash of those positions changing on my timing screen, and I was wondering what was going on.
And Aaron Roofs is taken to the pits as well, so his fuel stint over. He's going to come into the pit lane. He misses his box a little bit, but he's back into the pits, so we'll have to keep our eyes on all those drivers who have taken their next pit stops.
Quinn now on lap 58. I believe Roofs got to around 64 or 65 on that run and is on a similar strategy there as Liam Quinn. So Quinn with the same amount of caution, or laps under caution, I should say, gives us at least something to be aware of on those drivers. And we continue to watch this battle on screen. Vying for the 2nd position, Chin just ahead of Liam Quinn. And after a brief moment of Quinn threatening him, he's giving him a little bit more space.
Yeah, he is. But Joe, as we looked out of the rear view, the rear wing there of Joshua Chin, you saw that big wiggle coming off of 4. That car clearly a little bit upset, and Quinn looking like he's able to close up a little bit mid-corner here. Let's see if Chin is able to keep things nice and easy. He is. That gap, I am just floored here by Liam Quinn's pace. It's remarkable. He's on lap 60 of his stint. Now remember, we had a little bit of yellow, so we should be able to extend a few laps longer.
Yeah, that's what we saw out of Roofs as well. And it's not a whole lot longer, though, as things have been getting hot between Wood and Warling. Warling touched the bottom of the apron once again and got himself a little squirrely. These are our 2nd and 3rd place cars on your screen right now. Let's head over to Warling because he's might actually have a pass on Wood. Yes, he does.
Yeah, Wood just washes up off of 4, and Warling able to get by. Walker's going to try and make the pass as well, diving to the low side with Wood having being slow off of the corner. So these guys all trying to snake their way by. That's Steve Driscoll who's going to try and follow Walker through, but Walker can't get Wood cleared.
And Quinn is in. Quinn pits, which will definitely put him a lap down. Kinchlow and Barnes went a lap down. Roofs actually went 2 laps down from his pit stop. Quinn being close to the front shouldn't have any problems losing 2 of them. Oh, but we'll get a caution! And Quinn is in pit lane, so he should be allowed to take this service. The question is, can he get back out before Challenger comes around?
Challenger has to slow down for the wreck that's ahead of him off of the turn as we're looking at it now. I'm keeping my eyes out. The pace car is leaving pit lane. Quinn is leaving his box. Challenger Can he beat Chandler to the end of the pit lane? The answer is yes.
Wow. Luck very much on the side of Liam Quinn. And that was Justin Kirby, who seems to have brought out the caution. This was from contact with Mark Stevenson.
Was indeed. We're going to go back and check out that replay here. Diving down. Oh, just a little bit of a touch in the back.
Now watch this. Haleck in his Forge racing car just gets by with inches to spare between himself and that front wing. Oh.
So just like Martin Truex Jr. today in the Phoenix race, Liam Quinn catches out a break possibly, but he's being held behind the pace car. So here we go, watching on board. This is the scary moment that we're going to see coming out of this corner here. You see the smoke, you see the spin, he doesn't know where to go. Oh my goodness, I could have sworn he ran over the wheel.
I mean, there could have been some ghosting going on there, honestly. The way he looked so close as drivers are now in pit lane. And I expect Quinn to have stayed out. Yes, he did. But yeah, I'm not sure why he wasn't allowed to go past the pace car.
And he definitely exited he crossed the start finish line and exited pit lane ahead of Christian Challenger. So he should be allowed to go around and lead this race, according to any racing rulebook that I know of.
It looks like Chin will be out first, ahead of Challenger. Beat him in the pits by about a second. The 93 with a mighty fast stop.
Less
finds
fuel.
himself, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Less fuel, but was he able to completely top up is the question. If they did, then they're on the same strategy and he just got the track position. If he has less fuel, if we get another long green flag run like that, that of course could change the picture entirely.
We could indeed. I think there, though, this could play out into Chin's favor if we get another short stint like we've seen. I hate to use the adage, Joe, but yellows do breed yellows, so we could see a little bit more of that yellow cloth waving before this race is over.
I think we got some time for another of our championships. Well, the last one that we have is the Legends Sport. If we want to take a look at that, and the Legends, of course, the drivers that are of a certain age that maybe elicits a certain color of hair, if not none of it. And Adam, what is the current update on that one?
Well, I have the update as far as right before this race started for the Sportsman. We got Maurice Camillion leading that, only 3 points over Robert Deloach. Robert Gamble only 3 points back of Deloach, and then we have Steve Paulson climb his way up into fourth, only 3 points back of Gamble. Ernie Ludwig theoretically still in it, but with the points that you get in Sportsman, probably not. But honestly, between Paulson and Camillion, only 9 points. That's not that big of a gap. It's really anyone's game in that Sportsman series.
Okay, so let's see. Are we lights out this time? Double checking here with the pace car. No, we are not. So we still haven't gotten our waiver rounds, actually. So got to wait for the drivers. And man, Quinn suddenly finds himself once again at the back. If he had stayed out one more lap, he would have been perfectly fine and been back on the strategy. And now, unfortunately, while he has the fuel and he has the fresh tires, he doesn't have the track position anymore.
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head about that one, Joe.
Let's see if we get those lights out this time. There we go. And he's waved on through. So back on the lead lap for him, along with Lynn Kinchlow and Brian Barnes. But poor Aaron Roofs, because he went 2 laps down, is still going to be 1 lap down here, even after this wave by. So we've lost 2 drivers, Warren and Henrique, and 23 of the 24 are still on the lead lap.
All right, Joe. So it is going to be absolute hard racing here, I think. I think it's especially between Chin and Challoner. Watch out for Joshua Chin to maybe try to do a little bit of gamesmanship coming off of the line.
I wouldn't doubt it. We're down to 82 laps to go. Going to be 81 when we take the green here. Still plenty of racing left. And which of the drivers will have something here to the end? Now, the big thing is they cannot make it on fuel from here. They're going to have at least one more stop. But if we get a lot of green flag running, who is going to play it how? Do you split it up into two? Do you try to only take that one stop? What is the best route around here? As they now come out of 4 and Chin has control of the fields. And he's on it. Green flag is out. No shenanigans from Christian Challoner. He's not able to get the jump over Josh Chin, but he and his rival now have just each other to deal with.
It's a pretty horrid start, actually, from James Walker in the 6th position, so he actually held up the rest of the field. Cool, Challoner way up the hill off of the exit of 1 and 2. Because of that, he was able to keep more momentum through the corner. He's going to dive it down low and take a look underneath Joshua Chin as they go through 3 and 4.
Not quite to there, though. Still within about a car length and a half behind Josh Chin. Justin Morton also sitting in 3rd. Great job by Justin to get back in the hunt on this one. And just about a lane up, trying to keep the clean air on that front wing. Christian Challoner using every trick he can, and that actually helps him cut it down to about a single car length.
Yeah, indeed. So he's working that high lane a little bit, just trying to get everything that he can out of that car, seeing if he can get a little bit of clean air. I'm surprised he's not pushing a little bit harder here. I wonder if he is thinking a little bit more in the long-term thought process here, Joe, maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel.
Could be. And as they now come out and around to turn 3 once again, I can say that there's been a lot of side-by-side racing from 16th on down. There've been cars almost 3 wide in that group at the back of the field. So if we get a caution, it's most likely going to be coming from there. But you can see how single file it is, basically from 1st down to that 16th spot.
Yeah, and here's that gaggle you were talking about, an absolute hornet's nest of drivers down there, starting off with Chris Tito, Justin Kirby, Wayne Hutchinson, Liam Quinn, Lynn Kinchlow, Nick Kuhn, Brian Barnes, Jason Wallet, all of them involved in this particular group. Just a massive battle for the 16th position, and none of these drivers can seem to get away from each other right now.
Yeah, remember, guys like Quinn and Kinchlow, they don't want to be here. They've got pace to be farther up the order, but they're trying to tiptoe their way by so that they don't get into yet more trouble. In the case of Quinn, he's already taken his spare car, so he can't afford to have any more bits of contact.
Yeah, he really can't. He does not want to get any of that, but there they go. A little bit of side-by-side action there out of the 888 of Yatito, diving it down to the inside. Stevenson working his way forward there a little bit just in front of them as well. Ooh, that was a little bit of a squiggle there for Yatito.
Yeah, at the front of that group, he doesn't want to cause a wreck now because there's going to be a hard time avoiding it for many cars. Kirby sneaks underneath him, takes that 16th away, trying for the over-under. Yatito comes back at him.
Yeah, Tito with a nice run on the bottom of the track here, trying to make that pass work. He's going to send it deep into turn 4. But look at that. That is very close. That's contact between the two of them as they come off of the corner. Very close between Yatito and Kirby.
Well, we're not to that 20 lap point, guys. We're not due for the caution yet. We got to keep doing this for a number of laps still. Liam Quinn, now that he's been freed up, looks like he's going to take his spot, going around the long way past Chris Yatito, and the 888 has no answer.
No, he doesn't. Whoa, there's a little bit of a dive down to the inside, though. That's the 44 coming back at him a little bit. Let's see if there's anything to do there. That's Kinchlow making that move. So a gutsy move for Yatito, just seeing an opportunity and going for it.
And Yatito seems wildly loose through these corners, Joe. I'm not sure whether he made an adjustment in his pit stop, but he's really struggling to keep the car underneath him. Now, granted, this definitely counteracts a little bit of the issues. Oh, let's take a look at P3. Travis Worling making a pass on Justin Morton.
And Morton looks like he doesn't have much of an answer. Worling, one of those that is trying to take that second place away from Andrew Warren and is looking to fight Justin Morton for it now that Warren has DNF'd. Justin also falling into the clutches of Wood as we watch him. Look at that, those eyes constantly shooting over to his mirrors to see where he is. And though he does have a spotter, he's got to be exactly sure where that car is going to be, and that car is going to be behind him for another lap.
Yes, it is. Morton doing a good job keeping Wood behind him. Wood, though, is going to try that higher line, maybe try to carry a little bit more momentum, and then diving the car down the hill, using a little bit of the effect of the gravity and the momentum. Yep, here comes Wood. Is he going to try to take a look down into turn 3? No, he is going to back it off and just try to run a little bit of a higher line again, running down the hill. There is Wood, just trying to put as much pressure as he can to Justin Morton.
I love being able to watch Morton look into his mirrors as he goes through those corners. Awesome to see just how immersive the VR is for Justin. I know that he talks about it getting very hot underneath that hood over the course of a race, but he did not have a great 1 and 2 this time. Andrew Wood, once again with a decent run down the backstretch, but just deciding not to do anything with it at the moment. But this time through 3 and 4, Morton with a little bit of a redder run should run away from him a little bit more.
Yeah, and I want to keep the cameras here because this has definitely been the more fierce battle. But I've been watching Christian Challoner, who has been hanging out behind Chin for some time now. And it looks to me, from what I know of Christian, like he's just kind of holding his cards close to his chest. I think if an opportunity arises, he will try and take the lead. But for now, he's playing patient as this battle down for the 4th position rages on. Forge Racing's Justin Morton is slow off the corner. Here comes Wood again.
Yeah, that battle heating up. There's Wood down to the inside. Let's see if Morton can give Wood a little bit of taste of his own medicine. Not able to get quite the run that he'd like, but he is able to gain a little bit of overspeed there going down the backstretch. Don't think that's going to be enough. Let's keep the eye here. Morton a little bit higher, little bit of a later apex there. He's going to try down to the inside, thinks about it, tucks up behind in the draft, and it looks like he's going to have to try another lap here to re-rack this.
Yeah, it just wasn't close enough that time through. Rob Powers has been the one behind them for some time. Every time we jump off board like this, you can just see him in the fray. And this looks like it finally is calmed down. So I wonder if we should go down to Jeff Schmeier side by side with Driscoll.
Yeah, Jeff Schmeier and Steve Driscoll side by side, and actually this is all being precipitated by Eric Smith, who's actually a little slow ahead of them. And so every time that he makes a little bit of a stumble, it backs off the guy who's behind them. So that's why you see everyone kind of bundling up here underneath Eric Smith in the red and black 32 machine. There you see. Oh, that was definitely wall contact for Schmeier.
Just glanced it. I think he got away with it, but it'll drop a position as McGreevy is able to go by. That's a UDOX car we haven't hardly talked about today, but he might get a twofer as he's now trying to pass Driscoll.
Yeah, he's going down to the inside there. I don't know if he's going to have the full crossover. Driscoll's going to have the ability to cut him off if he wants, but Driscoll doesn't go for a defensive move, so that is going to be McGreevy. Oh, he washes up a little bit at the apex of the corner. They're going to be side by side. Not able to stay out of the wall there, though, is Steve Driscoll, and the momentum's going to carry him around the high side.
We are in lap 18 of the stint right now, so we're about due for the caution pretty soon. The way these two are racing certainly looks a little hairy. Looks like we had a change for 4th as Morton just overtook Wood up in that other battle that we were watching earlier. Eyes everywhere today as we're down to 65 laps to go, and the drivers are not shy of giving us action.
Yeah, and speaking of cautions and pit strategy, it's interesting to note that when Lynn Kinchlow came into the pits for that green flag pit stop, he was only doing, when he got back out there, 30.3s. The rest of the field was doing 30.5s and 30.7s. So it's only about a 2/10 of a lap difference as far as the tire delta is concerned for as far as the benefit. But I know that's a lot more stable for these drivers. Now, another interesting thing to note is that Christian Challoner is tucked in second place right behind Josh Chin. Normally, a driver this close would try and make the pass, but Christian Challoner's got another idea. He's actually lifting and coasting at the end of the straightaways to save fuel. This is also interesting to note because Challoner took more fuel than Josh Chin on the last pit stop. So definitely a lot of gamesmanship going on here at the front of the field.
Absolutely. And I didn't even think about that as he trips very, very high off of 2. It could be now that he's letting Chin basically break the air for him. He's putting Josh into a bad spot, essentially. He's forcing him to use more fuel, and he knows he could potentially, or he suspects maybe he potentially has less fuel than him, so he's just making sure that no matter what, Chin either has to refill more than he does, or he's going to have to stop earlier.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. And I've also been watching Josh Chin, and unlike Challoner, Chin is shifting down into third gear through the middle of 3 and 4. Now, that may just be a little bit of the way that they have these cars geared. However, there you can see the shift down into third. Chin almost loses the car there coming out of 4. I get the sense that Josh Chin is going for broke here a little bit. He is banking on the fact that there will be another caution and he will not need to fuel save.
Andrew Wood looks like he's a little out of sorts because Rob Powers now has overtaken him as well after he lost his spot to Morton. And I'm checking to see if something happened on this straightaway. No, nothing really drastic. Rob just much faster than him. Is Wood also trying to save a little bit of fuel here, or maybe save tires potentially as well, trying to keep those things underneath him as we continue to watch the battle for the lead between Chin and Challoner.
Yeah, it's important to note that we've reached that point where that turn 4 snap on oversteer is starting to happen to these drivers. We saw it with Josh Chin. We've seen it with a couple of other drivers. We've seen it with Ryan Steele, Liam Quinn. It's starting to happen to everybody right now. So everyone's just going to take a little bit of a break from these battles, I think, and just try and make sure that they're all still going straight at the end of turn 4. But give it another 5 or so laps, and we'll start to see the battles happening again, depending on the drivers who have been able to maintain their tire temperatures a little better than the ones in other places, because tire temperature really seems to be the name of the game, because the tire endurance and the tire pace, really not that much of an issue.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier. Knowing that, do you think it's a clear-cut case of you got to make this one stop?
Oh, I mean, definitely you have to make this one stop as long as there's not multiple cautions that precipitate you getting better tires, because on a restart, better tires are going to help you out because you get more traction when the green flag flies. But at the same time, you're going to want to utilize the overcut. I think is definitely going to be your best option, because you want to prevent what happened to Liam Quinn happening to you.
Indeed. It's not a good idea to try and pit early, as tantalizing as I'm sure it would be, as Josh Chin has a hair-raising moment out of turn 4, and that car looked like something out of a drift series.
That car looked like it didn't have a rear wing on it there, Joe, as it just wanted to dance all over the place. I have got to start thinking, if I'm Challoner, make the move. He doesn't want to get caught out.
Yeah. He's had this pace the whole time, I'm pretty certain, and no reason to try and risk his own car following behind Josh Chin. But Chin starts to come back, and Chin says, no, I kind of liked being up in front. I'm going to try and get this spot back, and he will.
I think Christian was pulling in front because if Chin was feeling uncomfortable, then it could be a nice maneuver, but here comes Challoner again, so they're just going to continue swapping positions like this. I don't think Challoner wants to be behind Chin, and I don't think Chin wants Challoner to be ahead of him.
Well, at worst, I think Challoner wants to be ahead here out of turn 4, which he's been doing the last couple laps, and it's not as big of a deal to let him by through here. So as they leapfrog back and forth, it seems like Challoner gets what he wants. Chin kind of gets what he wants. I imagine Josh wants to be in front the entire time.
Probably, but the one advantage that this will have is they'll both be able to do just a hair of fuel saving if they want it. But I'm not even sure that's entering into these two guys' minds at this point. It just looks like it is full-on attack mode. That purple machine of Chin coming back up the inside, just swapping back and forth and back and forth.
Now on to lap 30 of the stint. This time covers off the momentum a little bit, and Challenger doesn't look like he's got as big of a run, but he's going to be let through anyways as Chin ducks down, squares off the corner, and is going to fight back like he has the last few laps. Oh, has he got enough speed here? Yes, he does.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch this and to see the behavior of these two drivers as they go through this. Both of them are letting the other driver have the corner. And so this little swap over, the benefit is actually going to Chin because he absolutely can do a little bit of fuel saving on the front stretch. Challenger's move he's making is actually, it's actually occurring a little bit earlier. Now this time, Chin was a little bit further back. I'm not sure if he's going to have the run into one, but we'll see whether Christian gives it to him anyway.
Nope, looks like Christian will now lead into turn one for the first time. And Joshua Chin is going to sit back there. Will he get the run down the backstretch is the question. He looks close to him, but he's not really gaining the same way that Christian did. This might be move finally done.
It may indeed. This is the area that Chin's been able to do it, but we're going to jump back in the field here. This is another one of those tight battles heating up there. That is the 97 of Walker holding out on Wood. Ooh, that is Driscoll way down to the inside.
Yeah, Driscoll almost lost it coming off of 4.
That's McGreevy behind him that he's fighting with, but they come off of turn 2. Everybody swinging as far out as they can onto that wide backstretch. Still, they all got to stay in line. Not something we've talked about a whole lot either. This is an incredibly wide oval track as well.
Yeah, extremely wide for these drivers. So there's plenty of places to go, especially on the back straightaways. We see yet another attempt here. And this is from Eric Smith on Andrew Wood. And as they go side by side, here comes Driscoll trying to snake his way up. He's going to cut the gap between the two of them. Brian McGreevy also going to come alongside. Driscoll going to try and carry the speed around the outside. Plenty of places to make moves. Plenty of places to apply pressure to the other drivers. Driscoll, we know he's loose off of 4. He's able to keep the speed going relatively well, but he's got Eric Smith still looking to his inside. And, oh, Driscoll trying to cut down across the nose of Smith. Able to get it done. That's going to hold up McGreevy. And now here comes Andrew Wood again.
Back onto the back stretch, and I think Smith might find himself overtaken by Brian. The 68 looking underneath, but the UDOX car has to lift, and he gets boxed in. Now to his outside, Andrew Wood drifts out as well. So unfortunately, the 64 can't take advantage. He's now finding Liam Quinn, overtaking him, his teammate back up to 10th. Haven't taken a look at this driver trying to climb through the field in some time, but he's not doing too bad. At least he's cracked the top 10.
And Len Kinchlow hits the pits.
Ooh.
So the
first
beginning,
bite.
yeah, the first biter for here. Now we know that the tire delta isn't that big, so it'll be interesting to see how this strategy works out for Lynn. I think he's banking on a little bit of a later caution.
Well, not too early,
Jeff
though.
Schmeier! Jeff Schmeier just hit the pit entry.
Oh my goodness!
It shouldn't be a caution, and he does have a spare car, so he'll be okay. But he's going to lose a lot of time on track, and that was almost a disaster.
I was about to say it didn't look like he had damage, but the right-hand side pod is definitely bent up. So finds his way into his stall, and it's driving a little bit crooked there. He will get himself a fresh car, I imagine. Watching to see. Yes, and that has been ticked off. So let's take a look at the replay. And this was just, unfortunately, finding it tough to get the car rode up, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like maybe a little bit of rear brake bias. Those rear tires just wanting to slide away on him. He lost the rear of the car, and that sent him into that attenuator there. It's right on board. Yeah, there you can see it just slipping away.
Whips it around and continues rolling. So he's another one that's taking a pit stop, but that won't be a very accurate read because of that incident. Kinchlo's still the one that we'll want to watch for and see where this puts him in the end compared to those around him. Just a slight bit of an advantage, and that should get him at least a couple positions, I would think, as long as he doesn't get caught out by the caution. We're down to 44 laps to go. We're in the final quarter of this race.
Yeah, and it's interesting to keep to be thinking about that pace advantage that Kinchlo might be getting. His first lap out on the tires with them warm is a 30.458 on those fresh tires. It's important to note Christian Challoner's doing a 30.404 on old tires. So that doesn't look super great.
What are the mid-packers doing, though? Let's ask that question.
They're doing 30.8s. So.
Okay, there we go. That makes a little more sense. You're talking apples to oranges here a little bit, I think. Christian Challoner able to run just a little bit better up there. He's also dropped Josh Chin by about 0.8 of a second as we take a look at a battle here on screen. And, excuse me, that's Wallet, I think, that we're seeing there.
Wallet on roofs, yes.
Yeah,
and
so that's a lap car.
Roofs is a lap down, correct.
Yeah, not for position. Okay, no other biters recently, just those couple. We're up to lap 44 to 42 on our stint at this stage for our drivers. So we are getting up there. And the farthest we expect them to go, since they have been under green this entire time, is 55 to 60 laps if you're just joining us. So they do not have too much longer before we expect all of them to have to pit for at least fuel, and pretty much all will take tires in that stop, since nobody has run out at this stage. They only get 10 sets. This is a battle that we're watching up onto the main straight between Driscoll and Walker. This is for the 6th position.
It is indeed Driscoll just trying to see if he can get a little bit of edge, but careful as always not to overdrive the rear of that car and send it spinning out and around. He's got a pretty good run here. Let's see if he decides to poke his nose. No, he's going to stay in line, hearing over the radio that Justin Kirby's going to be coming in out of 14th.
Also, another interesting point that we haven't talked about. Our leaders that might actually catch lap traffic if this continues to stay green. And here we go down into pit lane. That is Brian Barnes and Justin Kirby ready for service.
Yep, from 14th and 15th positions on track. So
what's wrong with Kirby's wing, though? Oh, and he had to take a spare car. Kirby must have hit something or been hit.
I saw him racing very closely in one of those battles that we were watching earlier on, just like this one between James Walker, Driscoll, and Liam Quinn. And they were doing a little bit of checking up earlier on, and he might have gotten some damage from that, which is why he fell back in the field.
I'm trying to see if I can find when it occurred. And I'm not seeing it yet. It was a long time ago. He's basically been limping around with that rear wing for many, many laps.
Yeah, he has. So kudos to Kirby for being able to make that work for that long. When you've got that rear wing damage, not only does that affect your handling coming out of the corners, then that perilous turn 4 snap oversteer like we talked about, but it also limits a little bit of your straight line speed. So massive kudos to him.
Here's the question. Was Kinchlo ahead or behind Kirby before those pit stops? Because now Kinchlo is behind by about a second. So we'll have to look into that. Did this actually backfire on the 44, and has he lost positions? Or is he about where he was before, and he just didn't have enough pace to try and gain? As we continue to watch the fight between Walker, Driscoll, and Quinn. Quinn already up to 10th. Whoa, slow on the bottom side. What's going on with Walker there?
Like Walker just got a little bit tight coming through the corner. That snapped loose on him. He's managed to catch it and keep it down there, but that allowed Driscoll to get by. I can also report, Joe, that Kirby's stop was, ooh, wow, that was close between Quinn and Walker, but Kirby's stop was about a second and a half faster than Kinchlow's, and they're separated by a second and a half on track.
Ooh, interesting. So they may have been quite close together here. Is speaking of close together, James Walker not afraid to get right wheel to wheel with the 24. Quinn has had a rough day of it considering his pace. He's a driver that maybe should be a little bit farther up the order, but luck has not been on his side, and he's had to really fight for every inch of space he's gotten.
Yeah, he really, really has. Remember, he was able to make that super long run work early on and then got shuffled around as a result of pit strategy. But he's now going to try to maybe have a little bit of a look here on James Walker as they dive down into 3. But Walker shutting the door hard.
Yeah, the downforce. Oh my goodness, there goes Steve Driscoll again down to the bottom of the track. He has not wrecked it yet doing that, but we've seen a couple of moments from him off of 4. So, I mean, the man's got to be sweating bullets every time that happens. But fortunately, he was able to save it right there, but still keeping the thing going. But yeah, Walker just struggling a little bit right now with his car, particularly, and Liam Quinn with that pit strategy just ends up not working out for him as much as we'd like.
Boy, Stevenson is coming back through the field now. Remember, he was mired down for some time. He's managed to just take 9th place. He's been in a great battle between himself, McGreevy, and Smith. And there's Smith now also gonna deny McGreevy a position. Maybe not. McGreevy likes the high side. Oh, but they drift up and they make a little bit of contact. Smith saves it, but his heart has got to be in his throat.
Yes, it does. That was some great car control there from Smith. You see Steele now diving down to the inside of him again. These drivers here, old worn tires, just as gnarly as that gets. Lucky to escape as the way they did.
And Quinn's in. Liam Quinn pits. Another of our early takers, Kevin Hill, is going to join him. Looks like Chris Yatito was down through pit lane.
That's right, Chris Yatito also through pit lane. It was a long stop for him, but Joshua Chin in from 2nd position. And Josh Chin, he was about a second and a half behind Christian Challoner when he came into the pits. So this will be interesting to see how this goes. We've got 30 laps to go this time by.
I think this is the longest we've had one of these green flag runs without any of the cautions to break it up. And Chin gets down to his service area. So this makes sense because we're seeing it about between lap 54 and 56 for most of these drivers. They're burning fuel pretty quickly, but keep your eye on the number 1, Christian Challoner, because we watched him lift and coast for a number of laps. And will he have enough to make 2, maybe 3 more laps here?
Well, we'll have to see. He is coming up behind some laps.
No, he's pitting.
Oh, there he is.
Quick answer.
He's got to cover off Chin. It's possible that the pace advantage is going to be too much, so we'll see whether or not the undercut works for Chin.
They had put some distance on Travis Warling, and he is going to continue on around. So Warling, will he respond potentially, not to lose any more time? Because we have to remember, there still could be yet one more caution, a couple more cautions, frankly, in this race, and that could change the strategy entirely.
Very well could. All right, here is that battle. Joshua Chin coming out of turn 4 right now. Christian Challoner off pit lane, coming up to speed. Chin flying down the track right now at 190 miles an hour. There we ride on board with him. I think he is going to be behind Challoner by the time Challoner gets up to speed. Yeah, I can't even see Challoner. There he is.
It's about equidistant as when they came in, actually, so once again, the tire delta really not that helpful with the undercut. So Joshua Chin not gaining anything for coming in early, and Christian Challoner not losing anything for waiting.
Hearing McGreevy announcing he's going to be pitting in from 2nd out on the grid. Stevenson does so as well. And that's our current leader. So Stevenson handing that over to Ryan Steele now temporarily. We're waiting on a few drivers to pit, including Steele. Smith still needs to come in, Hutchison, Wallet, and Nick Kuhn.
hearing that Steele's going to be coming in this lap. That's what he called out over the radio at any rate. So just waiting for everything to shuffle back around here as Challenger sets the fastest lap, and not to be outdone, Joshua Chin sets one about 0.04 of a second faster just behind him.
Man, a 30 flat is super fast around here in these cars. That is very quick for these drivers. Track temperatures pretty much right where they want them. 25 to go for Eric Smith as he comes around yet again. Oh boy, that was Chris Yatito, or that was Nick Kuhn rather, who almost lost it off before.
It's one of those drivers that has not pit yet. Lap 59 of his stint currently. He's been outdone by Wallet, who's on lap 60 of his. And yeah, I think this is a case of throw out all the ballast and put the engines to full tilt for Christian Challenger. There's nothing left to save. Just go at it.
Yeah, exactly. This is where you absolutely go for broke. No questions asked. This is the dash to the finish. 24 laps to go. Everybody's good on fuel.
Challenger re-inherits the lead now that everybody has come in to take their stops. Chin still remains in second, but he's about 2 seconds behind. Unless he's been leaving something on the table, it's not looking likely he can deny Christian this victory. Travis Warling is currently sitting in third. And where is he going to be in regards to Morton? Only one position ahead, it looks like. So Morton probably still looking the most likely to take that second spot in the championship.
Yeah, Morton would definitely wrap it up if they finish as they were today. Christian Challenger, yet again, the fastest lap. Holy smokes, a 29.996 for Challenger. That is blazing fast around here. Underneath the 30-second mark, he gets up tucked in behind Chris Tito. He's going to easily be able to get by.
I mentioned earlier they were catching the back of the field, and yes, they're starting to lap cars now, which adds a slight wrinkle into things. But they don't seem to be too thick out there, so I don't know that Christian Challenger will have to be all that worried. It's going to be 21 laps to go next time he crosses the line. Where did Quinn wind up after all this? Looks like he's in 6th. Oh, and Morton just got passed by Powers.
Still not going to be enough for Travis Warling. Warling's going to have to hope that Morton falls back probably about 2 or 3 more positions in order to have a chance of making it into that second position in the point standing. So Warling really does not have an opportunity to get up to Chin as Christian Challenger sets yet another fastest lap. So as the fuel continues to wind down, Challenger continues to pound out the fast laps as Morton falls securely behind Powers.
So Powers solidly into 4th with that move. Stevenson's recovery has only gotten him up to 10th out of this. Also worth noting, our pole sitter, James Walker. He was kind of a part of the race early on, but we haven't seen a whole lot of him. It seems his 1-lap pace doesn't quite match his race pace here today. He's going to still get an 8th if he finishes where he sits now. There you see him on screen, but been kind of anonymous.
Yeah, he's just sort of fallen back through the field, unfortunately, not really able to get too much done there. It's going to be a disappointing day for him, and it goes to show you just how different it is driving one of these Indy cars when you are out setting a quality lap in clean air, and then the different style of driving it takes to drive it in dirty air and to drive through traffic.
I was looking to see who our biggest mover is, and I think that's going to be Andrew Wood, who started tail end Charlie in 26 and is currently running in 12th. Nope, I take that back. Nope, Challenger is easily 19 positions gained for the number 1 machine.
Yeah, from 20th up to the lead of this race at the moment. Now, granted, still 18 to go, so there's plenty of time for something crazy to happen. They are going to hit that 22-lap terrifying snap over steer off of turn 4 point on these tires in this run, and it's going to be in weather like they haven't seen before, so keep your eyes out for that. We still are not, we may not be done with cautions yet.
The temperatures have continued to drop a bit. The humidity, because of that early fog, has actually gone down to 89%. We've gotten beautiful skies since then, thankfully. You see the weather on your screen. So what started as a bit of a dreary day here in Japan has become quite lovely, especially for Christian Challenger up there at the front. And on to the backstretch, we watch the fight between Haleck and Kinchlow for this 14th position.
Just trying to gain him in the best he can, Kinchlow, but the speed coming off at the corner just not really looking like it's going to be there. This field really starting to separate out as we have been under green now for so long, Joe.
Yeah, they had their first set of total green flag stops here in today's race. Ooh, Stevenson is trying to make a move on Justin Kirby, and they're getting very close on the track as they exit off of turn 4. They finally give some space. Stevenson really wants as many positions as possible here.
Yeah, just remember, Kirby was the one who put the pressure on and made that early block earlier in this race as well. So, Kirby was. So these two drivers, Stevenson and Kirby, have been pushed around a little bit today, and neither of them really enjoy being pushed around. So I think both of them are going to put up a pretty stalwart fight here.
Oop, and a big wobble from Kirby will unfortunately send him backwards. So as behind them, the side-by-side you see is Ryan Steele going past Andrew Wood as well.
Yeah, Joe, it's kind of strange here in the closing laps. It seems like it's the first time that we've been able to actually take a breather here. Everything's starting to calm down. Normally it's part of the race where you think it gets good, but woo, still getting a little spicy there on screen.
Down to 13 to go, 12 to go really, as the leaders are just coming across the line now. So the laps are running out. If you want to make any positions, you've got to start making it happen. But what a season it has been here in 2021. Over 14 races, all kinds of different disciplines across the road. And
the dirt.
And the dirt, yes. And the majors have given us, oh, we get a caution. Justin Kirby. We saw him have a wobble before, but this one had involved contact. It looks like Brian McGreevy, but it was not McGreevy's fault, I don't think. Kirby looks like he was going to lose it before that started, as he's trying to get the car going again and failing.
Alrighty, so folks, this gets interesting, Joe and DJ, because we know that the tire delta doesn't mean that much. So we also know that everyone can make it to the end on fuel. So my guess is that everyone's going to stay out here, but let me know if you have different ideas on that.
I don't think diving into the pits is the way to go here. I mean, at this point, you'll be able to cool the tires a little bit under yellow, and the run to the end is going to be so quick. I don't see the advantage of doing it and giving up track position. Joe, do you think differently?
I can't think why you, unless you were in the back 3 on the lead lap, which would maybe be, let's see, Kinchlow, Barnes, and Hill. I see no reason to come in. Oh, we might have some fakers here. No, Chin's going to try it. Now, okay, so theory here. Chin knows he's not going to get the championship. He knows he's on, well, no, he was going to take second place, wasn't he?
No, he wouldn't have taken second over Morton.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so my theory then is that Chin probably just going to take a gamble, because what's he going to lose now? 4th place in the championship, which probably doesn't mean as much to him. So let's take a gamble. Last race of the season. You're going to get a restart with about 8 to go, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, but it took him about 25 laps to make it from last to first the last time around. Now, granted, he's only going to have to do 16th to first, but that's a long way to go, especially with Christian Challenger, who has our fastest lap on the books leading this race.
But again, it's the case of you hedge your bets on when the risk is worth taking, and he's not really going to lose a whole lot with this. So it's kind of a case of why not. And we're going to take a look at the replay of what caused this caution. Yeah, Kirby just gets loose again, and actually with some ghost contact, it appears, as his car goes for a ride and hits the wall hard.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Kirby, that's a DNF for him.
Only our 4th one out of our 26 starters, too. I don't think we've mentioned yet that Roofs had to call it a day as well. And I see Jeff Schmeier in, one of our lap down cars. It looks like all of our lap down cars just taking tires because, again, why not? You got the tires left. Don't cost you anything, so let's give it a roll and see if we come up snake eyes or if we are rolling in the dough after this one.
Exactly. It's all going to come down to this. And now we're going to see a little bit of an extra challenge here with Warling being close up behind. Maybe he'll have a challenge for Christian Challoner. We haven't really seen the two of them really be able to duke it out all that much. Don't count out Powers or Morton. This could be a very, very interesting restart.
Yeah, Travis Warling actually had a little bit of speed on Challoner early in the race on the short runs. So it will be interesting to see whether or not Travis can put. With that being said, we should have time for maybe one more caution if we get one very quickly after the start of this. But if we don't, then this could be it because they don't do green, white checkers in IndyCar.
No, they do not. And, well, if we do get another caution, that just essentially means fewer laps that those who took these gambles have to try and make up positions. And that is exactly what Chin does not want. So as we come around, lights are still on. We should get them off this time. So it's going to be a 7-lap dash to the finish for our drivers. The Indy Japan 300 here, the season finale for the majors, and the lights do indeed go off. And are they waving lap cars to the back here? I see someone moving off to the side. Yes, Yatito and others are being sent to the back of the field.
All right, so that's going to be a clear shot here for these top drivers. Joe, I want to point out, we've been talking a little bit about his pace all day and just how quick he's been. Look who's in P5. It's Liam Quinn.
Never give up. You got to keep at it. And the 24 is trying to get that kinetic machine as high as he can go. Potentially a podium on the cards, depending on this restart and what he's got underneath him. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, one of you did, about the difference in the cars handling on early to late in the stint. Who's able to manipulate the tools in that thing to get the best out of it here with only a quick dash to the finish, because it could be quite a difference between some of them. So we wait for the green flag to fall for Christian Challoner, wanting to add to his tally of wins this season, far and above the winningest driver this season with 7 to his name. Pace car is in, and the green flag is out. It's a big jump for Christian. Not so for Travis Warling behind him, and already Rob Powers is thinking he could maybe take second away.
He dives down to the inside trying to take second away, but this is just going to allow Christian Challoner to run away as well. So Rob Powers absolutely powering it down that low side, able to get past Warling as they exit 1 and 2. Justin Morton clinging to the back of them.
Chin already looking at 10th place as he's working on Haleck. He's going to get through to him behind him. There are some drivers that are absolutely flying. That could bring out a caution if that gets a little bit too crazy, because there are going to be hungry cars.
They are indeed. Wow! There goes Chin down to the inside of Brian McGreevy, really pushing his advantage. That'll move him up into P9. But there's a big gap up the road between him and James Walker.
And it's already down to 6 to go. It looks like Stevenson in a bit of a fight with Walker, so that will slow them up slightly. And we do get a caution, and that is Andrew Wood with a monumental hit.
With 5 to go, I'm not sure whether we're going to get back green.
That was with McGreevy, I think, making a little bit of a touch. Let's take a look at the replay on that one. Poor Andrew, unfortunately, just catching the wall the wrong way, and that sends him for a tumble, which means that Wood essentially is out for today. He still has a spare car, but with him having to take a tow, he's going to wind up multiple laps down.
And quite frankly, McGreevy's save in this, he ends up in the pit lane, but McGreevy manages to save this. He does not wreck after Wood collects him.
Wow. Yeah, and look at those flips. McGreevy's run. Let's see if we can get an onboard for the 68 here. There's the contact.
And now he just tries to save it.
Was he at pit road speed at that stage, though? That's the question.
I'm pretty sure he's going to get a penalty, but I think he decided to stop and take his fast repair because he's got some suspension damage after that.
Oh. Yes, indeed. And he's back out on the course. We're down to 4 to go. Christian Challenger trundling around. Yeah, this is going to be tight. If we do get a green, it's going to be with 1 to go. But I'm not sure that they will hit that mark. It depends on when the pace car pulled out to collect them.
I'm not sure either, Joe, but we'll have to keep an eye out. As we've said, this is all going to depend on that pace car. Oh, this is going to be close.
For Challenger, he's probably hoping that we don't get another green flag run. He'd like to see this one over and collect his 8th win of the season. Don't think we've had Rob Powers on the top step. No, we have not. In fact, Rob Powers, I'm seeing, doesn't even have a top 5 in 2021.
It'd be amazing to have a new winner at the end of this one, but it'll be interesting to see just how this goes and whether we get back going green. Let's see if we get the lights off this time by, because then it would be a 2-lap shootout, and that usually favors the person in second. So as we cross the line, the lights do not go out, so it will be 1 to go if they even allow that to go.
Indeed. Rob Powers just crossing his fingers. Or actually, at this point, I think he would know because he'll get the 2 to go inside his helmet. So the drivers know, but unfortunately, we do not at this stage. We still have 15 cars left on the lead lap. Brian McGreevy did get back out at the tail of the field. Eric Smith, Wayne Hutchison, Chris Tito, Jeff Schmeier, Jason Wallet, and Nick Kuhn are a lap down. Andrew Wood is in his pit stall and almost looks like he's taking repairs or something because he's been in there for about 3.5 minutes. So I'm not sure if that 64 will join us.
It does not look like he took his fast repair either, so unfortunately, I do not believe that Andrew Wood will be returning to the track, even though he had his spare car available to him. So unfortunately, I don't believe Andrew Wood will be returning.
Well, sad to see that they're out of that 64 machine, who's had some great pace all day long here today. And as we watch here, let's see if those lights go out as we anticipate them doing.
Oh, 1 lap shootout. Here we go, folks. This could change everything. Christian Challenger has to be on it, and he has to be clean because this win is not guaranteed.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed at all. Rob Powers, I mean, you saw the move he made on Warling and how commanding that was. Justin Morton in 4th has to be very careful. He needs to finish this race. Otherwise, he's going to lose that 2nd place to Josh Chin, regardless of where he finishes. So if Morton gets caught up in the wreck that happens ahead of him, I mean, I know that the guys ahead of him have nothing to lose at this point. He still does have something to lose, so he's got to be careful.
Indeed. And the other thing we need to remind our audience of is that there are no cautions able to be thrown once the white flag comes out. So if they get to that line, that start-finish line on the restart, and I specify that because we have seen cautions come out very quickly already in this race at one point. Once they hit that line, then they are running to the finish, and there's nothing to stop the drivers. Every man for themselves. Here we go. The pace car down to the bottom as Christian Challenger takes it up to the wall, looking for the restart. Pace car's in, and the green flag is out. Challenger with an excellent start behind them. Look at this run from Liam Quinn. Liam is already getting past Justin Morton, and he is going to try to put him one down, but Morton fights back on him as they now come to the backstretch. No challenge for Christian Challenger down this run as you see him up at the front of the field, but side by side, Quinn on the outside of Morton. Looks like he's not going to have that. He does fight back, but up at the front, Christian Challenger will take the win here at Motegi for number 8 of the season.
What a commanding performance from Christian Challenger yet again. Completely unstoppable.
And Quinn beat Morton by 0.02 of a second at the line. Chin got at least one more spot on this one. He finished in 8th at the end of this. What a wild race that was, with a few twists and turns along the way. But Christian Challenger, who brings it back around to the front stretch, is getting ready to celebrate with a whole bunch of friends, it looks like. And no, it looks like many of them coming down into the pits as they have a little problem navigating that one. But we're going to watch the number 1 burn it down once again this season. We'll take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Twin Ring Motegi. We just watched the season finale for the majors. It was the Indy Japan 300, and Christian Challenger grabs another to his tally of immense victories, as Rob Powers did keep him honest there at the end, finished in 2nd. That's his first top 5 of the season. Travis Warling is going to finish in P3, with Liam Quinn just getting back up into 4th at the end of this one, and Justin Morton, we believe, bumps himself up into 2nd in the championship with his top 5 finish. It was Steve Driscoll behind him in 6th, as Mark Stevenson eventually found his way to 7th, but another one that had a tough day out there. Josh Chin took a gamble at the end, and it didn't quite pay off, but he still finished in 8th, as Walker was 9th, our pole sitter kind of nowhere for most of the race, and Kinchlow finished in 10th.
Then we have Adam Haleck finishing in 11th position, falling down from 8th, and Kevin Hill climbs a couple spots up to 12th position. Ryan Steele up from 21st to 13th position today, with Brian Barnes climbing up to 14th as well. Brian McGreevy up to 15th, and then you get your drivers who are a lap down. Eric Smith, Wayne Hutchison, and Chris Iatito a lap down, as well as Jeff Schmeier, Jason Wallet, and Nick Kuhn.
Coming home in 21st position was Nick Kuhn, with Andrew Wood having that incident there at the end. Justin Kirby, Aaron Roots, Jason Enrique, and Andrew Waring all DNFs here today.
Well, after a year long of battling in the majors, it's all done and spoken for as terms of the main championship. We will have some more fun racing coming later on in December, but we will be talking about what comes next year in a moment. Before then, we are going to talk to Christian Challoner, our winner, our champion, and quite a driver here in the IndyCar. Christian, you didn't qualify so well in this series, but you didn't let that hinder you. Eventually, you made it up to the front, and then once you were there, it looked like few drivers had much for you.
Yeah, honestly, I was completely surprised that I even had any kind of race pace at all. Obviously, yeah, qualifying, so I hadn't actually turned that many laps before I put my qualifying lap in, and I was still kind of feeling it out. And I got like that one lap in that was all right, you know, where I didn't spin coming off a turn 4. Oh, a car's just gone sliding past me on the front stretch upside down. That was great. But yeah, anyway, so I was coming to the line on my 4th lap in qualifying, and it wasn't super hot, but it was quite a bit better. And I got to the gas too aggressively and just immediately ended up doing exactly that, sliding past the line on my roof. So yeah, qualifying not great, and then practice. Yeah, Liam basically taught me through how to drive the car and what I actually needed to do. Did some laps behind him, and you know, it was feeling okay. I was like, well, we'll just see how it goes in the race and see if I can kind of move my way up and whatnot. And realistically, even through the first 2 stints of the race, I was like, okay, yeah, I could probably pick up a top 5 here, because it felt like we were really, really good through 1 and 2. 3 and 4, there was some cars out there that felt like they could challenge us. Walling was one of them. They were just getting off the corner really, really good. And that was kind of difficult. Obviously, if you're trying to make a pass on them, you know, it's pretty dicey coming off of 4 anyway. So to be going up against cars that are pretty good off the corner makes that even more difficult. But through 1 and 2, I didn't feel like anybody out there could challenge us at all. It was quite wild how we could make passes pretty easily on the top side, or even if we couldn't make passes in the corner, we could just get close enough to then get to their inside in 3 and 4. And I for some reason was able to drive really, really deep in 3 and 4 and get the car rotated. And you know, it made passing not easy, but it made it possible to get that run through 1 and 2 and then get that pass done into 3. So yeah, it was kind of at the point where I was ahead of Josh Chin and he wasn't immediately drafting past me and leaving me for dead, that I was like, oh, okay, now we're actually maybe within a chance to win the race. And yeah, totally did not expect it in the slightest though, but a lot of fun. I'm actually kind of not too surprised. This suited me quite well by the time I was kind of getting it figured out, just because of how it is. You know, I mean, it's very similar in terms of the Silver Crown, that it's all throttle control and corner exit and whatnot, and it's totally my jam. So once I figured to drive it like the Silver Crown, it was awesome. It was great fun. It was death gripping the wheel every single lap, and I honestly felt like I was going to crash and die every single lap of the race that wasn't under caution. But yeah, it was wicked. Honestly, can't say anything bad about it. I had a great time.
Well, let's take a look at the season as a whole, though. This is your 3rd championship that you've wrapped up this season. How do you rate it against your other 2?
Road course, exceptional. Absolutely, without question, the strongest I think I've ever been in this series on road courses. The only one that was realistically even slightly off, I would say, was the Lotus 79 at Long Beach, where I don't know why, I just could never really get comfortable in the car. And I think street circuits generally, I tend to back it up just a little bit. And so obviously not being super comfortable and then backing it up. I qualified good, which I kind of knew pace was there, but I just wasn't comfortable, couldn't extract it in the race. So that was a bit disappointing to me. But otherwise, road courses, yeah, absolutely wicked. Spec Racer Ford obviously didn't go so well, but really, Spec Racer Ford and Lotus 79 were the only 2 road course races where I think I had any problems. And it sounds kind of arrogant to say, but I think I won all the other ones. So road courses were awesome. Ovals were actually, ironically, less good for me. The more difficult oval stuff, I think, generally played towards me quite well, but just got really unlucky sometimes. You know, I had the disconnect in the Indy 500 where, I mean, I don't think I was going to win that, but it's probably going to be able to contend for at minimum maybe a top 10. So, you know, that was really, really disappointing. And then Darlington, same deal. Obviously, we had guys in there from the Coke series, and it was actually a good example of what kind of being out of the loop a little bit on that does to you, because I couldn't really compete with these guys anymore, which is disappointing, you know. But I was on solid for a third there and got disconnected again. So those 2 races sucked because of things completely out of my control, which was a shame. Tour mods was definitely a disappointing race. Felt like I missed on where I needed to be with the car, and you know, even amongst that, then I kind of drove a bit angry. Wasn't too happy with necessarily how I got raced in that, and then ended up in the second race on my lid. So, yeah, oval was definitely something that was could have been better this season. It was nice to end with an oval win actually, but road courses was awesome. So, yeah, hard to say really. I guess happy on one side and unhappy on the other.
It's hard to encapsulate a whole year's worth of effort, I'm sure. But we do want you to encapsulate who helped make this one happen. Do you have any thank yous for today's race?
I have general season thank yous, and I guess my shout out would go to all the guys at Kinetic. Obviously, John King gave me a shout out last week after I clinched, but I feel like it's a good opportunity to give him another shout out. Yeah, all the guys over there. Liam Quinn, especially on oval side, has been a huge help, especially in these open wheelers. It's been great to run with him, and you know, it's been really cool to kind of have that help, especially to drop into something such as this car, and you know, immediately have support. That's really, really cool. Would say the same for guys like Josh Chin. Rob Powers, actually, I want to give a shout out to, because he had an amazing run tonight. I hope looks like he's here ready for interview as well. So yeah, definitely want to give him a shout out, because he had a wicked run tonight, and then he's been one of the guys who's been here all season, even through, you know, good and bad races. So yeah, everybody over at Kinetic. Gonna give a couple other guys a shout out as well. Jake Fox, Daniel Johnson, Ernie Ludwig, you know, all those guys. I'm sure I've missed a couple of people. In fact, I definitely know I've missed a couple of people. But yeah, shout out to all those guys. It's always fun running this series. Hope we'll kind of have a same kind of presence next season throughout the 3 regions. And thank you to you guys for doing the broadcast as well. You know, it's wicked to be able to go back and watch. And there's definitely been couple of moments this season, some good, some bad, that I've gone back and looked at. So yeah, thank you guys for running the broadcast, and I know I missed the one today with Europe, but it's also fun to call those races too. And also a big shout out to the guys who organize the league. So Mike, everybody else on the competition committee. I know I have said things about some of the rounds this year where I wasn't maybe a big fan of them, but you know, overall it's a really, really fun league, and yeah, I'll definitely be back next season.
And that was our winner, Christian Challoner, going from 20th to 1st today. He mentioned Rob Powers, and I said he had his first top 5 win. Adam's going to be talking to him about that.
Yeah, Rob, I mean, such a great performance today. Such consistency up there at the front of the field. And that move on Travis on the second to last caution. Talk to me about that one, because that was quite commanding and impressive.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Really, just during the caution, Christian had been talking about the fact he could run open full throttle through 1 and 2, and I hadn't really done that yet. And I said, well, if I get a good run, it's good to know. And it looked like Travis kind of slipped a little bit on the start, and I just decided this was my chance to try to get a good finish here. So I did. It was pretty lucky. I was happy.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a fantastic move and a very consistent race. But I mean, those cars looked very trepidatious out there. A lot of very tight moments through the corners that ended up snapping loose on you guys. How did you manage to hang on to it after that lap 22 terrifying moment out of turn 4 that seemed like everybody had at some point?
Lots of weight jacker. I was on that button. My thumbs are both pretty sore from pressing those buttons in every corner. That's the only way I could handle it.
Absolutely. And how often were you adjusting that weight jacker? Was it every corner, or was it were you doing it every couple of laps?
It was every 1 and 2 every lap, and then 3 and 4 every lap, the whole race.
Well, Rob, I mean, once again, a fantastic run for you today. And as you think back to the rest of your season, is there anything that comes to mind as far as like a high point or a low point for you?
The Indy 500 was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm kind of a bottom of the tier for most tracks for the Pro Series. And so the Indy 500 and then this race just were a lot of fun. Having the whole team so close to the front in both of those was just a great time.
Well, Rob, is there anyone you want to thank for your second place finish today in your season?
Yeah, I mean, really just the Kinetic guys. They put together, a great set. We did lots of fun practice. And even during the race, just the strategy talks and even the little tips on how to handle the changing car was just, you can't top that. And so just all the Kinetic guys, especially, Christian, Josh, Liam, during this race, they were just phenomenal help for me.
Well, Rob, thanks for talking to us, and congrats on your second place today.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, that was Rob Powers, who finished second today, and DJ's caught up to Travis Warling, who finished up in the third position.
Well, Travis, well-earned third place out there today. Talk me through that race. Obviously, a bit of a tale of two races there. Lots of cautions early on, and then a long green flag runs later.
Yeah, that was an interesting race, and I'm glad to be back here to talk to you guys. It's been a while, but at the beginning, I thought I had a pretty good car. I was able to lead some laps, which I was very grateful for. And then as the track kind of wore in, the car just got too tight. I couldn't really do anything with Challenger and everyone else up front. And then the last restart, things got really, really exciting for me because my headphones completely died for a second. And I did that entire last lap without any audio. So I'm glad I was able to do that one lap without dying. That was fun.
That's got to be pretty terrifying, my friend. We saw a lot of drivers really, really losing it on the rear tires, specifically coming out of 4. How were you managing with that?
Yeah, that was definitely a big problem for me as well and for my teammates. We spent a lot of time with this set trying to just minimize that. I think our set looks absolutely crazy if you look at it. And it seemed to help because we were able to get a drive off, but yeah, it was still very hard. You had to be extremely slow with the throttle just to not spin.
Well, I mean, you managed it quite well, obviously, finishing out the season here on a pretty good high. Talk to me about just kind of a season in reflection for you.
It wasn't my best season. I've been in this league for about 4 years now. This is, I think, statistically my worst season. Very humbling, I guess it's a good word. There's a lot of things I think I can work on in the off season to kind of close the gap to the top guys. And I think that's just gonna be kind of my goal now, is just to kind of bridge that gap and try to get back into the title hunt like I was last year and the year before that.
Well, we'll be keeping an eye there for sure. Travis, anybody you want to thank for the run here today and for this whole season?
Honestly, I just really want to give a shout out to all my teammates. We've had such a struggle of a season, all of us, and we've stuck together. And I think we've really bonded. So I just want to give a huge shout out to them. Obviously, everyone at the majors, they put on an amazing series, and the past 4 years have been amazing. I don't know what I would do without the series. And then obviously you guys make amazing broadcasts, and I love watching back and seeing everything.
Well, I know we love bringing it to you, Travis. Thank you so very much. That was Travis Warling, your third place finisher here today. And now, Adam, I believe you've caught up with the man who clinched second overall in the championship today, Justin Morton.
Yeah, Justin, based upon our count back, he clinched second overall in the championship points today and finished 5th on the trot as well. Congratulations for both of those. And how do you think your race went today?
Thanks, first off. And I think my race today went pretty as expected. I was hoping to maybe compete for that podium there, overall podium. Just I didn't quite have the car in 1 and 2. It was a great setup, especially exiting 4, but just seemed to be missing something in 1 and 2. Maybe could have changed something with my driving, but yeah, pretty as expected.
Well, as you look back towards your season, I mean, like we are watching you fighting for those top 5s and those top 3s quite often over the course of this season. And thinking back to that season and looking towards next season, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this season was a lot about consistency. It started off rough for those first 3 races, I think. Had a bad day. Both Daytonas weren't great for me. Long Beach, I didn't make the top split by a few tenths or something like that. So started off the season not great, but I've slowly make my way back up through the field, and I'm I was surprised after the last race to see that I was going to be able to compete for second. Things just kind of fell my way this race. I was really shocked when Shin pit there at the end, but was going for a bold strategy. As for going into next season, just hopefully build off this and just keep improving. I noticed I was getting way more comfortable running around most of these guys. Being consistent was a big thing for me. So yeah, I look forward to next season.
Well, big congratulations to you on the 5th place finish in the race today and 2nd place in the points. Is there anyone you want to thank for your season today?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the guys at Forge. Mark for picking me up, asking me in the offseason if I wanted to join. Very thankful that he let me. He went out and asked me to join, so I'm very thankful to be part of this team. Rethread Crow for sponsoring us. Majors Garage also for sponsoring us. They had great setups all season. Chris and Matt also put a lot of work into setups and tweaking them, getting them how we wanted them. So a big shout out to them. Brian for all the paints all season. I know he's going for the championship in Sportsman right now. Hopefully we can lock up the Sportsman Championship too. Thanks to Isaac for this special one-off paint. Congrats to Miss Apex on their Sportsman Championship also. And thank you guys for doing the broadcasting all season. I look forward to next season.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Justin, and we do look forward to seeing you next season.
Thank you.
That was Justin Morton, who finished 5th today, but clinched 2nd in the points championship. And now we have Michael Lett speaking with Joe Peak.
Yes, speaking of next season, this has become a tradition here and the last race of the season. Mike, you've got the calendar and we've got the graphic to show our audience. What do they have in store for them?
Hey guys, thanks for letting me talk about this. I don't know if we want to bring Wayne in. He's going to cover about half the events with me. He was he's the lead in charge of doing the schedule. Our schedule, for those that don't know, we build it a very specific way every year. And we've got our 3 crown jewels that never ever change. We've got our 1 crown jewel, which is an F1 race. We've got 3 races that are voted in by our membership, and then we have the balance that is sort of crafted by the competition committee, and Wayne sort of led that charge this year. I will say that the schedule's going to look a little different than it has in the past. That's going to start right with the very first race. Maybe I'll cover the first couple and let Wayne talk about some of the ones that he really thought were great ideas, and I think as well. So first race of the year is going to be the Watkins Glen 2 hours. So it's basically the 6 hours of the Glen. We've never run that race in the majors, and really it's at a time in the schedule normally where we aren't able to get it in. We've got Le Mans, we've got our dirt round, we've got the Spa 24, trying to get all these races in, and with the Watkins Glen, the 6 hours of the Glen usually falls in late June. It's just been hard for us to get it in the schedule. And so one of the things that we talked about this year was we don't have to be so tied down to the time of year on some of these events. Our crown jewels will probably always try to keep them real close to the real world dates, but we thought we could be a little more flexible, maybe get in some races that we've really wanted to in the past and not been able to. So we'll start off with the Watkins Glen 2 hours. Another interesting note on this first race is it happens to fall in nicely with the way IMSA is doing it this coming year, but we're also doing it intentionally where we're just going to have 2 classes. So we'll have the LMP2s and the GT3s for that race, and that theme will be repeated in any of our multi-class races this year, where we won't have three classes. And that's to be honest, that's from a scoring perspective. When you run a series that we try to score races that are single class, 2 class, 3 class, it gets a little bit complex and convoluted sometimes in factoring in all those various classes. So we thought we didn't want to lose the ability to have some of these awesome multi-class races, but we thought we would pare it down to just 2 classes in each one of them. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how that's received by everybody, but very excited to go to Watkins Glen for the first time in the series, and we'll kick off the year on January 16th at Watkins Glen. On February 6th, we go back to the Daytona 500, one of our crown jewels, and we will be using the next gen, the Gen 7 cars. So that'll be really interesting because that'll be an unknown for a lot of people. I'm sure there'll be lots of work done on the car in real life and in the sim before then, so it's a little bit of a wild card for us. I know people really loved the feedback on the 87s last year was surprisingly good. The racing was better than expected, and a lot of people would have probably liked to have seen those happen again, but as we get further down in the schedule, they might get their wish. So those are our first 2 races. Wayne, I don't know if you want to cover the next 2 or 3?
Sure. You guys probably noticed a pattern here. One of the things we really tried to do this year was make sure that we have a full alternation, road course, oval, all through the season. So our next race, round 3, is a road course. We're calling it the Land Down 240, or for the Land Down Under. And we're going to take the Legacy supercars to a track we've never been, when many people haven't, Oran Park. And it's a track that doesn't get a lot of love in the service, but it can make for some really good racing.
And then it looks like you've got one that I think many of us are looking forward to here, Wayne, the Lotus 79 showing up again, but on an oval. That definitely caught a lot of our eyes.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out how to get, a late 70s, early 80s IndyCar oval race in, and there's been a lot of talk about doing it at Indy itself, but this fits really well in the schedule, the time of year. The Jimmy Bryan 200 is a classic race that was run at Phoenix every year back in those days. It's going to be quite interesting, I think, to see how those cars work on that short oval. I think it'll be 200 wild laps around there.
Yeah, and I've watched that car on ovals before. It is something to behold. And this is also interesting, the wild cards being the same car, but just at different tracks. I like this idea.
Yeah, that was another thing we wanted to do slightly differently this year for 2022. 2021, we had 4 wildcard weekends, which turned out to be a bit much. Very, very complex schedule for a lot of us. So we pared that down to 2, and we decided we'd have one of those weekends with the Porsche Cup Wild Weekend, where the car stays the same all through the weekend, but the tracks change. And then we'll see later on, we have the opposite for the second wildcard weekend, where the track stays the same, but the cars change. So try to mix it up a little bit, but not too much that people are scared away.
And then,
exactly.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Well, so then the next round is our second crown jewel, obviously a staple on the schedule, the Indy 500. As Wayne sort of alluded to, there was a lot of debate in the committee, a lot of chatter even in the membership about doing a Lotus 79 or even a Lotus 49 Indy 500. We were pretty well split. It was really close, and I think the modern car won out just barely. And I'll be honest, I was one of those that wanted the 49 as something different. We've done a classic Daytona 500. We've done classic Le Mans. I think those went really well and were well received. I think it fits in with sort of the vibe of the series, and someday we'll get it done. I was having a conversation with Christian a couple weeks ago about the schedule in general, and he was saying, I'm sorry I was hard on you guys about the schedule. Some of these events have turned out to be really fun. And I said, I end up disliking about half the schedule too. And he said, but it's your series. Anyway, it's hard to pick these races, to be honest. Anyway, so we'll be back at Indy with the modern car. It'll be a great race. Indy's always fun. And someday in the future, we'll get a classic. And then we'll follow that right up with Le Mans. And as I mentioned, just going to be 2 classes this year. So we're only going to have the one prototype, which will be the LMP1, unless by miracle we get the new car. But we'll have the LMP1 and the GTEs. So in the first 2 multi-class races, we get a good mix of cars, no repeats. Should be fun. Also, you'll get a better balance of class selection in the race as well, I think, with just the 2 classes, so I'm excited about that. And then the next race, before I let Wayne take over again, this is another one of those where we said, you know what, let's just not worry about where it's supposed to go on the calendar. It was a popular race in the vote, and we wanted to get the Coke 600 in there. And again, when you've got Indy and Le Mans and the Coke, it's really hard to fit them all in. So we decided we're going to have that at the end of June, and that is going to be in the 87. So it's really a World 600, and it'll harken back to the late 80s. So that is going to be a challenging race on the old Legacy Charlotte track. Bumpy in those cars, 400 laps, 600 miles is going to be quite the challenge.
Yes, it will be. But it was one of the top vote getters from the mid-season survey, so we wanted to get it in. Round 9, we're going to go to the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix on my 57th birthday. Using the McLaren or, fingers crossed, the new Mercedes if it's available by that time. And have a traditional modern Formula One race at the Red Bull Ring. It should be fast and furious.
Yeah, we had even discussed amongst ourselves when we saw this schedule. One of the questions that popped up here in the booth was, why not the Mercedes? So that answers that. And then off to dirt racing, which I love seeing, especially I love seeing guys get uncomfortable out on track. And so I'm looking forward to the dirt modifieds there at Weed Sport.
Yeah, and this is our second of 2 wildcard weekends, the one where we're going to spend the whole weekend at Weed Sport Speedway, which is kind of special into itself, the way it's shaped. And we're going to run modifieds all weekend, just 3 different modifieds. So it'll be interesting, hopefully not too overpowering for anybody or too boring for anybody. But it should make for some great dirt action. And it's right in the kind of the summer doldrums where participation tends to lag due to vacations and things like that. But we're hoping that this kind of simplified schedule for this dirt race will bring some more people out.
And you got to take the next one, Wayne.
Yeah, and the next one was one I lobbied for pretty hard. Round 11, we're going to go to Motorsport, or Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, for 64 laps with the Gander Outdoors trucks. First time we've raced trucks in the series since 2014, and I think that year they were always raced on an oval. So this will be quite different. This is a huge race in Canada. Probably number 2 or 3, depending on who you're debating with, after the Formula One race and the IndyCar race in Toronto. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a great combination, and I think it's going to make for some really close racing and probably a little contact here and there too.
Yeah, well, and speaking of contact, the next one was actually one of the vote getters as well, on the short track side of things, the Virginia 300, or the Virginias for Lovers 300. It's gone by a lot of different names over the years. But it's one of the top 5 for sure late model races in the world, and again, this is another track that we have never gone to in the majors, Martinsville. It's funny. It's I think on my iRacing bio, which hasn't changed in probably 9 years, it lists my favorite tracks, and Martinsville and Richmond are my 2 favorite tracks. So. Really excited to go here. Martinsville presents interesting challenges in big field races with cautions, so we'll have to get our arms around some of that. But it's a race worthy of being on the schedule. Really excited for it, personally. Then, really taking to the extreme of the schedule flexibility. Again, our season has started off with the 2.4 hours at Daytona. For a lot of years in a row, and a lot of our regulars have been like, do we have to kick off with Daytona twice in a row every year? And the answer is yes and no. So the yes part of that is, the Daytona 2.4 has been one of the top 3 vote getting races every single year we've done a member survey. So it gets to be on the schedule. but it doesn't have to be first. And so we thought, you know what, let's go back. In 2018, we ran this combo with the Nissan and the Audi. It was really well received, really popular, and now we're flipping it to the end of the schedule. So it'll be the second to last round. Will be the 2.4 hours of Daytona Classic style. So I'm excited for that. That community. I'm glad to get them back in the majors. Hopefully, we'll see a bunch of turnout from them. They usually find these hosted events and make them good. So I'm excited about that. And then our last round of the year will be on November 6th at Miami Homestead. So we're basically kind of doing what NASCAR used to do with the championship weekend in Miami. We ran this exact race, I think, in 2015. It's been a long time since we've done this race to close out the year. But it's a great race to finish the season because multi-groove. We'll use the current gen. The next gen. It'll be current gen by the time we run there. But the next gen NASCAR cars, and should be great racing. And if there's championships on the line, Homestead puts on a good show. So really excited about that. So there you have it.
Awesome stuff. We are smiling ear to ear, honestly, ever since we got a look at this, Mike. And so it's been fun. But before we let you go, talk to us about this season, your thoughts, your feelings. Like we asked some of the drivers, highs and lows.
Highs and lows. That's a good question. I'll tell you what. This year we will have more Ironmen, so more drivers who completed all 14 races than in any year previously. It's just going to beat out last year. I think we're going to have 49 Ironmen, which is pretty cool. That's more than a full grid at basically any race you go to, with very few exceptions, of people who made every single race all year long. And given that the series lasts all year, literally from January to November, and we run, it's not a cheap league to run in by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm always really impressed by that, the number of people who are so committed to it that they will make sure they have all the content necessary and they want to run every race. So I'm always really proud and grateful for those members that do that. Overall, so that's the positive. On the downside, we had another positive. We had three great champions. So with Christian winning his third, Cam winning his second, and Dallas winning his first. Really, that's a great trio of Mario Andretti Drivers Champions, and I think very befitting of the title. So that's a positive. Overall attendance has been down for the first time ever. So that part we want to rectify, and we've got some great ideas, plans for next year on that front, which we will be unveiling here real soon. And really, it's all going to get unveiled on what's a new day for us. So next December 11th, so a month and a week, 5 weeks from now, we're going to have our playoffs, which we usually have, our Iron Warrior Demo Derby, which we usually have, but we're coining the name of that day Legacy Day, and that's all about what the theme of the 2022 season is going to be. It's all about legacy, both the driver individually and the series and the races that we run. We are opening our Hall of Fame. I always feel a little squeamish about talking about a Hall of Fame. But I think we've been around long enough, right? The Majors has been around since 2014. I think we've got enough, behind us that it's okay for us to go ahead and have a Hall of Fame, and we get to induct our very first member on December 11th. So I'm really excited for that, and that's really going to be while it is the official close of the 2021 season, we'll recognize our champions. It's really the kickoff to a whole new era in the majors, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, we're extremely excited as well. Mike, thank you so much for bringing us along on the journey. And I guess while we've got you, is there anyone you and Wayne would like to thank for this season?
Well, I'll start. I'll say Wayne. We lost John this year. And obviously that's the biggest low of all when you talk about highs and lows. And it was right about now, a year ago, that I was finding out about, how much trouble he was really in. And we lost him a couple months later. But, truth be told, John and Wayne have been sort of the right-hand man of this series for a long time, and really helped guide it to where it is and where it's been and where it's going. And obviously losing John was tough. Wayne has been doing this for a long time, and the amount of hours that he puts in with the scheduling, we talked about that, but just the race week with pre-qualifying, making sure members are up to speed, helping people in Discord, communicating with members via private message, email, etc. Is mind-boggling, and he is decided he's going to take a step back from the competition committee next year. He's still going to help out in some capacities, but I'm going to certainly miss having him as a formal member of the committee. But again, it's so much work, and the amount of the work that he puts in, frankly, dwarfs everybody else, and that's really is true. So I'm grateful for Wayne. I appreciate all the years of help, and obviously we'll be talking all the time still, but anyway, it won't be quite the same. So anyway, just really appreciate Wayne, appreciate everybody on the competition committee. Of course, we have almost 15 people that help out, and they all do a great job, so I couldn't do it without them. Appreciate the 400 plus drivers that we have regularly, and appreciate GSRC. You guys stepped up and took on 2 regions, which was a big task, but did a great job as always, and appreciate all of the other broadcast partners that we have, from SimSpeed and Radeon and the ESPN and etc. Really excited, and I'm excited to be able to say that we're going to have 4 of the 5 back for next year, and we'll have a new one for our America Sportsman region. So anyway, lots of people to thank. I missed a ton of people, but mostly thanks to the drivers for being interested in the series and being dedicated to it. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and thanks, Mike, for the kind words. It's been a long, I don't know how many years it's been, many years on the competition committee, and it's just time to step back and let some of the new guys, take on some of the challenges and guide the league forward. So looking forward to see how things go next year. I'm sure it'll be much better than any year we've had to date.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming and talking to us and talking us through next season. We can't wait for the playoffs because that sounds like a ton of fun. And hopefully we'll get to hear more from you pretty soon.
Thanks, guys.
That was Mike Willett and Wayne Hutchison, part of the team that makes this whole thing happen with the majors. But that is going to wrap us up, and we are going to call it a night and call it a season. And again, thank you to the charity that we want to mention. It's Fishing with Vets. If you want to check them out, it's fishingwithvets.com. And again, thank you to Mike Willett and the entire Majors crew for coming back for another season of coverage. As he mentioned, now with both the European side and the American side of the competition here. But thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed here. And also check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And as you heard, the next race for the official championship is Watkins Glen, Sunday, January 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So don't miss that one. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.